You're on air.
Huzzah. Hello, my name is Caleb, and I'm inviting you into the House of Shenanigans for a night of Dungeons and Dragons, or day if you watch it between the hours of 6 and 6. Um, so we're going to play a little D&D. It's going to be a little lighthearted fun. Please be patient with me. I'm new. I need an adult sometimes. I've got with me tonight four guys. I'm going to let them introduce who they are, but not yet their character. So we'll start with Clyde.
Howdy, my name is Clyde. I'm around here in this
All
house
right,
of
so we got
shenanigans.
Clyde. Yes. So then we will go with Matt.
Hello, I am Matt, and I am the token Australian of the group, and it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And then, Jimmy Boy Me Bob.
Not like I haven't heard that one before. I'm Jim Bob. I'm in the same 6 to 6 as everybody but our token Australian. Yeah.
And then Eric.
Hello, I'm Eric. Been a while. Good to be part of this year's mischievous adventure.
Huzzah. And now into the world of wonder we go. So I'll probably play from behind the screen a little bit here. And Matt, I really hope that I do not break your love of immersion, because the House of Shenanigans, sometimes that's real. Onward. All right, so a day prior to the events that are about to occur, all four of these individuals got a message. Some of them may have been catching a quick cat nap under a tree. Others may have been zoned out. Some may have been asleep at night, but they got a message, and it was from a voice. And the voice said that they needed to be at the Iron Bar, which is obviously a bar in the town of West Rock. They all live fairly close. Getting there for the next day at lunch. And so now we'll jump here. And essentially what we're seeing from the outside with the camera zooming into the building itself is you see a sprawling city. Very few buildings that are 2 stories tall, but they are about. But the city just seems to go on for a ways. Cobblestone paths, torches hung from lampposts around the city itself. And on one corner, rising up out of the ground, while most of the buildings and some of the homes that you may be able to see come out of a worked soil, this one does not seem to share that. It actually has this almost, I don't know, like this pumice style stone, colored stone, I should say, almost a shale, reaching up and forming, 4 walls essentially on top. They put a regular roof on it, wooden shingles and all of that. There are a few windows, and the windows all have bars on them. And when we walk inside, there is a little bit of music in the background. It's not an Irish pub scene where everyone's chanting, cheering, and having a great time. However, everybody is having a great time and being very loud. This is the Iron Bar. Some things that you know about the Iron Bar itself is that it used to be a jail long, long ago. It was a jail, and actually you can still see there are certain places, the bar specifically, where what used to be the bars that separated cells have now been kind of cut and shaped into a little room, which is behind the bar, but with the bar top being almost like a reception counter style. The seats on the other side are single posted stools that seem to rise straight up out of the ground. There is a human man standing behind the bar. He's got a thick goatee and some shaggy hair, and he always runs this bar. The patrons are probably what is the most interesting thing to see. All shapes and sizes, just about any combination of color, attire, dress exists here. There is one young lady who's actually standing on top of a table with her rapier out pointed as she's directing it, as she's telling this tale of her accomplishments, of the time that she went down and she faced the tiger cat, standing there one-on-one, this beast which had been threatening her village. She slew it by herself. And so she came to West Rock to be a hero, because West Rock is where the heroes go. And in West Rock, if you're a hero, you go to the Iron Bar. And throughout the rest of the bar, you see a table of 6 humans and dwarves kind of elbowing each other and laughing to one side and then turning to the other side and elbowing and laughing. And they're all kind of in this enormous group conversation of saying how great the acts and deeds that they have done have become. And at one table, it's pretty full. This whole bar is, so seating is hard to come by when you can get it. But at one table, we would definitely find our, oh God, immersion breaking. Sorry, Matt. We see our good friend who just introduced himself as Clyde. Clyde, we don't see you specifically at the table. What are you doing at that table?
Oh, sitting there drinking and listening to her tale, and would that join in and point to like various scars where I got my attacks from bigger beasts than hers.
And she stops when you say that, and the crowd, it kind of goes collectively, at least her table, the audience she was talking to. And she moves and she points the rapier right at you, and she's got a big smile on her face. And she spins a full 360 and again lands almost in a dancer's pose or a fencer's pose with her backhand out and her rapier kind of face towards you. And she pulls it up quickly, cocks her head up, and says, "And how big was it?"
As big as bigger than a horse.
And she looks at you for a minute, and she kind of holds back a little giggle, and she looks at everyone else, and she says, "Bigger than a horse. If you've killed a monster bigger than a horse, he owes you a drink." And then she says, "But don't be mad, friend. The good news is, I suppose, if that's the rule, that if you've killed something bigger than a tiger cat, sea cat, then I owe you a drink." And she turns the rapier upside down and kind of sticks it into the table and grabs one of the pitchers in each hand that are on the table, and she just double fists and starts chugging half of it. And when both of them are half down, she hands them over to you. As you take, and I'm sorry if you're on the phone, we can wait a little bit longer there. As you take those 2 mugs, now half full of ale, and you start to cock these things back, out of the corner of your eye, the door cracks open. And I would like for Matt to tell us what he sees right before he takes down these 2 mugs, or these 2 pitchers.
All right. Walking confidently through the swinging doors of this iron bar is a very, very well-dressed man. He has an amazingly styled mustache, and his very flamboyant purple dress with silken lace around the collar and around his hands. And he comes in and he takes off his gloves one finger at a time, and he puts them in his coat pocket, and sweeps off his hat in a singular classical motion. And he looks around and he says, "Oh, that's a fine dress you've got on today, Esmeralda."
Have you been to the Iron Bar before, Jules?
Oh yeah, it's not like a common place for me to go, but perhaps I had a meeting with some people here before, and had an encounter with this woman once before. Yes.
Sure. So Esmeralda is sitting there, and she hears you say that, and she's got her back to you, and she stands up and she puts both of her hands on her hips, and she kind of like stomps and turns around 180 degrees, and she's looking at you. She says, "Well, you should know you picked it out."
Well, that color certainly goes with your eyes.
Of course it does. And she kind of raises up her right hand, and you can see that the table that she's sitting at is not as raucous as the rest of the bar tends to be. She's not at a special table. She's just with a different crowd. And but you can see that they're all instead of leather slacks and armor, you can see wrinkles on some people's shirts where armor straps are always clamped. Not at this table. At this table, there's big bouffant hair and a more stylized look to specifically like the shoes. Everybody at this table is wearing some sweet shoes. But she raises her hand up and she kind of snaps, and you see the bartender kind of already over there with these two, not mugs, they're actually tall, almost martini glasses. And you can see he's got both hands on the tops of each one, and he sits there for a second, and his hands start to shake a little bit, and then he lifts his hands up, and it's almost like you can see this frosted cloud dust off of the side of the tops of these, and he pulls his hands back, and along the top of the glass itself there are little iced salt crystals that have sort of formed. And a little barmaid comes by, grabs both of them, and walks right over, starts to walk to you, and you can see him kind of yell something at her. She stops and turns around, and he grabs something from the racks behind him, takes it, and he throws it, and it goes into the air for just a moment, and then you see it disappear, like just completely gone. And then she's just standing there. You see both of the glasses splash up, and then she turns back around and she's bringing them over, and she hands one to you and one to Esmeralda.
Well, it's a fancy show. That's one fabulous act you've got there. But who is this man over here? Esmeralda, you outdo yourself.
And the guy stands up to shake your hand, and you go for to reach back out. And as you're reaching out, you realize that you haven't moved from the door yet. And the door actually opens up and bumps you from behind. And you can hear two voices just going back and forth. And so you step out of the way and let the door fully open. And there is Jim and Eric trying to decide who's going to go in first.
I'll get you when you're in the middle of
This
doing something.
rather large, golden scaled dragonborn wearing chainmail on his with a harness that around it would be a little over his shoulder, but a little down, almost to serve as a cloak. But to him, it's a banner. It's of what would be the most ratty looking cloak if ever. Has draconic writing all over the back of it, with a dragon's mouth opening, and it looks like it's eating the sun. He very he at first the gentleman that's wanting to enter the room, he first tries to enter, but sees that he wishes to enter. He kind of steps back, giving him a slight bow, letting him go first.
And this dragonborn nodding at me. I cannot tell what this man wants. I was really following the noosphere here. I have no idea why these dreams have come to me, but he's nodding at me, and I'm standing here nodding back, just not getting it. And he continues to nod at me, and I nod back. And I'm thinking, maybe he's trying to communicate with me, and I don't know this, and so you'll watch me kind of start looking around your face and your head, and then coming to it, and I start to nod at you, and the gestures seem to change just slightly.
But seeing that the gentleman doesn't get what he means, he stepped back from the door as to say, "After you."
Surprised that you speak common. The elf. Yes. Steps in from the outside in the light, and stepping into this different lighting, you finally get the look on my face is very long, very lean. My hair is dark brown, pulled back at the nape of my neck. My eyes are pointed, almost tired. I wear this tattered robes that down near my feet you can wait, are those he's not wearing boots. It's just his feet. What is wrong with this guy? He's literally walking into this town, into the iron bar with no shoes on. His feet are covered in mud. And even up to half calf, it looks as though his pants have been soiled by the earth for quite some time. And he walks in, not even looking where he's going, but more just like he's following fairies in the air.
And Eric, before you can actually follow in behind him and close the door behind you, this kind of heavy set guy kind of cuts in and comes in right behind. And as he steps in, he looks at you and he's like, "Hey, thanks." And he kind of gives you a little smirk, and he walks on in. And back to you guys.
The gentleman that cuts in front of him, he just when he smirks at him, he just kind of it doesn't even bother him. He just returns his grin and enters the tavern. He looks around, remembering tales of a tavern that he's heard people talk about. He walks to a random empty table, and he'll sit down with his back to the wall, watching around, just not really trying to look out for anyone, just to see society.
And so the table that you find is not empty, but it does have 2 empty chairs. You definitely get over there and you kind of sit down, and it's right at that same time that Gardain is actually, he's got his hand extended. He's waiting for the next pitcher. And you actually notice that your table, everybody kind of gets up, except for, maybe 1 or 2 stragglers. And this is like a 8-person table, so a lot of people could sit around it. But a couple of them walk off, and to the perceptive bunch, they're actually going to the bathroom. At this point, there's no seat back was not called. So you do have an open table.
And he'll sit there,
Damn.
kind of watching the dwarf in interest.
Still standing up. Put my arm behind my back. Excuse me? Excuse me? May I have everyone's attention, please?
And the bartender actually can see you doing this, but the crowd is not quieting down yet.
My name is Roland. Who here is looking for me?
And seeing that you're still talking and the crowd has not subsided in volume, you see him reach up to this big bell, and he just sits there and starts ringing it, and it just fills the space, just ding, 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 and essentially this quiets the entire crowd, and you hear him say, "All right, lads, let's hear this one. This is his first story of how he became a hero. Go ahead."
My name is Roland.
And the entire crowd yells, "Roland!"
Confused, he believes that they're all looking for him now. I think you're. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he walks over to the bartender. I'm not a hero. What is this place?
And he kind of looks at you, and there's this heavyset guy sitting at the bar, and he kind of looks at you out of the corner of his eyes, and he gives you a little elbow, maybe a little too playful, but he kind of chuckles, and he says, "This is the Iron Bar. This is the Heroes Bar. What do you mean you're not a hero?"
I live north of the city and have for quite some time. Something spoke to me, and I followed the noosphere here. I have no idea.
You see this heavyset guy, he was kind of slouching into this, like, who is this backwoods guy? What is he doing here? And then you say what you said about having heard a voice, and he sits up and perks up, and he looks to the bartender, now squinted, a little more discerning. And the bartender looks at you and he says, "A voice, huh? What did it say?"
It said, hold on. Give me a moment. I'm going through the voices.
And the bartender actually kind of drops down on his elbows with a wash rag in his hand, just looking at you.
The one that spoke to me and sent me here told me to come to the Iron Bar, and I'm here. Am I supposed to meet someone? Am I supposed to do something? I made friends with some squirrels. They're gone now.
The heavyset gentleman kind of, you see his shoulders shrug, and he lets out again a little giggle at your. And the bartender, you can see him. He reaches over without looking and kind of slaps him on the shoulder and says, "That's all he said. He didn't. This voice. It didn't. Nothing else. It didn't tell you to bring a letter or make a lamp or anything."
Make a lamp? Why would the voice tell me to make a lamp?
And he cuts his eyes back over to the bigger guy, patron on the other side of the bar. And he reaches up for the bell clapper again, and he rings it twice, and he goes ding, and the rest of the patrons in the bar, the volume turns back up, and he kind of walks down to the other end of the bar to help somebody else.
Looking for an empty seat.
You see a table where now there are currently 4 people sitting. A dwarf who is chugging, having a good time. It almost looks like maybe he's with the other table. They just didn't have enough seats for it.
Okay.
He's having a great time.
I will.
You see,
Go ahead.
well, the other people at the bar, obviously. There's also a dragonborn who seems to be watching very intently. Sort of keeping in this place a super low profile. He's not blending in with the crowd, which helps him not be noticed. And then the other 2 are actually on the left side of the table, sitting next to each other, an empty seat in between them and the first 2 I described. And it's essentially 2 women sitting there, and one of them's dressed nice, kind of like the people at the table when you first walked in, and the other one seems to be more of adventuring gear, a leather vest that is very small on the left side but swoops very large across her body from the right to the left, or pants tucked into her high leather boots, and she has a bandana on.
I will see this table. I will eye the chair, go over to it, pull it out, sit down at the table, and just look in everyone's faces. If they smile at me, I smile back. If they make gestures, I make the same gesture back.
Gardain has both cups, and the ale is pouring down, and I slam them back down, and I said, "We need more." And I walk to the bar and set them up there. We need more.
And I would say that as he's kind of coming from the bartender that is coming from that patron at the end of the bar, he sees your 2, and he grabs both of them and takes them back to 2 spigots and sits the mugs or the pitchers under there and turns both taps on and walks away from it because it's going to take a second to fill them up. Sorry, Argaz. Sorry, Argaz. This weird individual who walked in, you let the guy in. If anything, him being here is probably your fault. He is this weird dude that apparently was a hero. You heard a little bit of the bar conversation, and you realize that he's just this weird guy who hears a lot of voices. Well, now he's sat down next to you, well, at your table, and is just seems to be like trying to get everybody to make eye contact with him a little bit. And then right before they would, he actually turns and just starts looking at somebody else. Anyway, he's at your table. What do you think about that?
He kind of watches him, the molten ember eyes, never truly, it looks like he doesn't pay him any mind. But I mean, seeing that he doesn't really look like a hero, really doesn't look like someone that can fend for himself. He kind of, he keeps an eye on him just to make sure nothing, because I mean, this is a tavern of heroes, which also means it's a tavern of mercenaries too. In case, because a lot of people get, they don't understand, they get violent.
So one thing that you know for sure, one thing that you know and everybody else knows is that there's something very special about West Rock. And while it's not 100% free, it has a safety rating close to that of Disney World. It is, crimes don't occur here because this voice that you heard from possibly Uther Cass, he runs a joint that's about an hour or not an hour, about 10 miles. Maybe that's an hour. That's probably over an hour. About an hour outside of town. And it's this old, like abandoned, retired fort that he has turned into this amazing heroes guild. So heroes from around the world, places you've never heard of, never dreamed of, never thought of. People migrate here and they're just waiting for that call while they keep their regular day jobs. So mercenaries are few and far between, and usually you can pick them out.
So if I've got what you said correctly, pretty much what all these people are waiting on, they're waiting for this gentleman to pretty much come into the tavern to pick out a group. Is that correct?
You could make that assumption. I don't think that's too much of a leap.
Okay. So
especially if you're familiar with the town, which most of you would be, even if you don't visit a lot, you at least know that.
Yeah. His long chin coils that most gold dragons that usually gold dragonborns don't have, but for some reason he does. He kind of just sits there and kind of almost stroking them as though they're a beard. Just three people stand out in his mind. The gentleman sitting next to him, the gentleman that I'm guessing he's wearing brightly colored decorative clothing, very Bardesque, very Bardesque. And then of course there's the dwarf. There's the dwarf. And in his mind, he feels like there's a reason why the three of them are here with him. And he sits, again, he's very quiet, mostly because he's contemplating at the moment. And he realizes that if his assumption is correct, then that he would guess that the reason why they are here too, because the kid sitting, I don't know if it's the half elf sitting next to him. I don't know why I say kid. The half elf sitting next to him, he knows that he doesn't look very combat proud, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. So
he takes it upon himself to keep an eye on these three people in particular. Yeah, elf. I thought you said half elf. Sorry. Would I know what kind of elf you are? Because I know, or are you a half elf? Oh, you're okay. Got you. All right. So yeah, he keeps a look on these three people in particular. He doesn't know why. It's just those three people are the one that seems to just be like standing out to him, and he finds these three interesting to watch.
Is it because other people are playing those characters?
It's because yes, it's because no. Actually, I sat here and I think you have somebody that just stood up at a tavern trying to say something and couldn't really hear all the conversation because we're so far back, and then he sits next to him. And this is the same guy that he tried to, like the guy was pretty much like, okay, I'm just going to nod back until stuff goes other direction. And he already was interested in the dwarf because the dwarf is just like chugging like I just see him like just taking 2 mugs of ale and just be like ah. And then there's a conversation.
Yeah.
And then there's just the conversation. And it's just the bright colors of the gentleman that's sitting there talking to these other people. He's not really watching them per se because like they're people, but because they're interesting. He's never seen this type of behavior. I mean, he's used to other people, but these three are what stand out to it.
Well, and you see the taps close Gardane, and he hands you both pitchers, so you're free to head back over to the table if you'd like.
Yeah, I pick them up and I walk by the lady that was still talking about her stone tiger, and I'll set one for her. So we never drink alone, and I will go and take the other one and sit down and when I was listening to the voice, because I didn't see, I was in my mugs, talking about he was waiting for someone to come and get him. I'm trying to look and see who said that. And then I see the dude just watching, seeing him just watching everybody and making gestures. I'll raise my cup to him, just wait to see what he does, and then I go back to my drinking.
Yeah, I would say that you at the table, you didn't see them come in specifically, but right now you can see now this Dragonborn, in a ironic twist perhaps, is now, instead of eyeing you when this little weird man was walking up, he is now eyeing this little weird man kind of out of the corner of his eye, and you see this guy just, not frantically, but perhaps a little confused, looking into people's faces, and then, like I said, turning away. And you actually you get bumped by this heavier gentleman that's kind of trying to squeeze between the two tables, and he walks over and he squats down, and he's talking to the two ladies that are on the other side of the table.
Does he spill my ale?
I would say that you are adept. I would give you advantage in barroom settings based on what little I know about your character so far. So in this free challenge, I would say that he might bump you and you might shake the glass a little bit, but your stern, bulbous forearms hold it steady without ever actually dropping a single drop. Drop a drop? Yeah. So no, he does not spill anything.
I was like, and when it
But
goes
he
up,
is a jerk.
when it goes up, I go, oh, and I set it down far enough away so I don't get nothing on me, or I lose it. And I walk to where he is, and I tap him on his shoulder.
He's actually in the he is one chair away, kind of squatted, talking to these two ladies. So you don't have to go far.
Oh, I was like, manners, lad, manners.
And you could tell he was in the middle of this, I don't know, this over exuberant story where he's seen, well, and that is when that's when the other two guys came out, and then you say something to him and he looks up at you, and you can see he's kind of got these women interested in what he has to say. And he's kind of a gross looking guy. Like I say, heavy set. You can see he's going bald, not an attractive dude. And he kind of looks up at you, pulls up a cheek and just kind of scoffs at you and nods you off and goes back to his story with the ladies.
And I'll mutter to myself, okay, nope. I hadn't poked my nose in somebody's business in 20 years. I'm going to sit. I picked my ale up and I nodded to Dragonborn. I said, come over and bring your other friend, the smiley dude. Not you, the smiley dude. Fella.
At the other table, Esmeralda, you're in the middle of having a great time, Jules, talking to these individuals. Esmeralda kind of taps you on the shoulder and points over at this table where on one side of the table, there's what we have seen, odd creatures, a drunken dwarf, maybe not drunken. We don't know. And then, of course, the Dragonborn, all now seeming to get on one side of the table, and on the other side of the table, you see this big, fat, ugly dude talking to a couple of people that you know. And for the sake of giving them names, you know that the woman that is in the big swooping vest, her name is Hera Lane. And the other one that is dressed closer to the attire of that of your table, her name is Pio. And Esmeralda says, "Oh, God, you have got to go get Pio away from that."
Oh, I got just the trick. Oh, by the way, I did get the call last night.
And you see her, and she just raises both of her hands up to her face. I'm going to turn my camera on. Or I'm going to mute myself by accident.
Yeah.
And she is just sitting there like, "Oh my God, you waited this long to say that?"
Say, well, I was a bit caught up. That fabulous dress, you know.
And from like a hip holster, she pulls out this little club looking thing, and she goes, and it looks like she's about to bring this thing down and hit you, but then it spreads out into this big fan, and her head just like pulls back, and she's just fanning herself, and she's like, "Well, good Lord. Well, if you're going to be a hero, you got a damsel in distress."
Oh, I'll show him what's what. And so I will place down a single sort of fluted glass that I had, and I would stroll over to the girls, and I would say, I'd say, "Oh, you lovely ladies are worth much more than that."
And you see this guy still kind of down in a squatted position with his arms on the back of these chairs talking to him. And he sees you, and he starts at your shoes. And I really, really would enjoy if you would walk this thing up from the bottom to the top and tell me exactly what this big jerk sees.
So the shoes are they're like a padded silk. The whole outfit is purple with gold trim, and the laces are white, and there's like little symbols. Almost symbols, but they're just a pattern up and down, just in lines, but separated a good amount away, and they're kind of like this faded sort of gold color, but nowhere near as much as the gold trim. So from the bottom, the silken padded shoes that have sort of a stylized ankle and the gold trim around, and then pantaloons that are mostly covered by a flowing almost skirt, I guess, that comes down. He can see that there is underneath the outer shirt, there is a little bit more padding there than what he first thought. Maybe there's some leather armor underneath. But the padded shirt that is silken purple overlays it rather well. You can't actually see it underneath, and it's still it gives him a more bulky form than he would normally have, but it's also very tailored. You don't think that the leather armor underneath would be tailored, and it seems like that this man would be ashamed of the untailored look. And so he has covered it up with a tailored, larger shirt to cover up that with sort of brass buttons all the way down the middle. And like I said, his hand, his wrists and the collar are this white lace that sort of comes up and down there. And he does have a hat in his hand that was on his head, and it's again a black undersides, but with a purple on the top. And it has these coloured plumage feathers that sort of all sort of gathered together in one spot on the top of the hat. And obviously the large, very well manicured mustache.
And I would think that might be where he stopped, because you noticed as you stood there and you made your comment, he was kind of looking at your feet, and he had this like, who is this trying to talk to me? And as his eyes work its way up and it sees all these fabrics and these colors and just how well kept it is, this look of, almost anger turns into a look of, all right. And he works his way up, and finally you see his eyes almost stop like right at your lip, and he sees the mustache, and his eyes immediately go straight to yours. And you see him kind of stumble back, and he drops the mug out of his hand, and it spills, and the mug doesn't break, but it spills all over the place. And he quickly scrambles, and he grabs the mug, and again he looks at your shoes, and then looks at your face, and then looks at your pants, and then looks at your face, and then he just, kind of confused and upset a little. He kind of just walks away from this entire situation. And Pio looks up at you and said, "Now, why'd you do that?"
I didn't do nothing.
And she kind of gives you this, yeah, I know you know. But she stands up and says, well, me and Harry, we're going to go to the table over there. And they kind of get up and walk off. Now, Matt, you are standing there. First of all, to your left, there's a raucous table where now there is this halfling with a beard that is half of his body length. He's older. You can tell. It's hard to tell a lot of times in some of the smaller races once they get old. I guess that's not true. Gnomes definitely look old, but halfling, seeing an old halfling just because of their, good nature, sometimes, at least around here, maybe they don't have as long of a lifespan. Halflings don't make great heroes. Is kind of an underlying theme. That's, it's not a racism, but that's kind of an understanding around here. Halflings don't make heroes. And this one's old. And he was talking when you walked up. He is still talking. And for the other three at the table, he has been talking for a good 5-10 minutes and has told like 15 stories of these conquests that he has. And you can tell that the other patrons sitting around have heard these stories so many times that they're still loving it. But they're like leading him to the next part of the story when, something comes up and they're like, yeah. And, you weren't alone in there, were you? And he says, oh no, I wasn't. There was, and then he goes into it, and, but that guy's up on the table. But now you stand at this table where on the exact opposite side, you see the dwarf, the elf, and the dragonborn. And something deep down inside of you, this feels a little bit like your American Idol moment. So you can decide you have an opportunity to, you have an audience almost, if there's anything that you would like to do.
All right. And so this halfling is still talking. He's perhaps in the middle of his story, and they're trying to get him to the next part. And I stand up and I say, "Well, that is such a fabulous story, but I have something, maybe not of myself, but it is mighty fine." And I will stand and I will pull out this gilded book and hold it out, and I'll just hold it like at arm's length, and I'll look at it, and I'll just flip open the pages, and the pages just turn to a page. If anyone's looking over my shoulder, they see that they're completely empty. But it's like I'm reading, and I regale them a story, a very brief story about something that happened in history. And it was a grand adventurer who was stuck in a chasm, and perhaps it's like the 300 Days story, where he had gone climbing and then was was pinned by the rocks, and how he managed to survive, and about the mountain lions that perhaps were licking their lips, looking down on him, and how he managed to fend them off and make his way into the history books. And then I sort of finish with a flourish, and I say, I'm sure that personal stories mean so much more, but there's a little one that I just happened to think was appropriate for the time.
And the old halfling, as you started to talk, he kind of stopped and was listening. And some of the people at the table were like, yeah, but, and they kind of look at you a little bit in panic, and then they look back, says, yeah, but Brog, what happened next? You know, did you see the big red light? What happened? Was that? And Brog, this older halfling, apparently kind of shushes them. And not only do you have the attention of these three, but you have now gained the attention of this entire table. And kind of as you finish, the whole table goes from looking at you to looking at Brog. And you can see Brog, what he does is he pulls out from this big beard from behind it. He takes these two big chunks and he starts to braid them together. And you can see underneath here, he's got like 7 of these things. And he braids it up and slaps this tight red line kind of in it. And he drops it down and then drops the beard over it. And it's completely gone. And he just says, "It's a hell of a story." And then he turns to the table and he kind of hits this pose. And he says, "But did I ever tell you?" And they were like, "Yeah." And he goes right back into telling them another story that they've heard 1,000 times that they love to hear. On the other side of the table, though, what are your thoughts? I'm talking to Argaz, Gardain, and Nailo.
Roland leans over to whoever's beside him, still looking across the table at the others, and goes, "That's not how it happened."
Arga is the one sitting next to him, and he looks at him and goes, "God,
Yeah, Toadstool.
Truth.
Yes, but not with stuff
Truth."
on it. They're talking.
And then he looks back towards looks back towards the the bard he would gather.
And Gardain is still drinking, and he listens to the story, and he strokes his beard a minute, and he says, "I suppose." And he just goes back to drinking. He says, and then he watches the big dude. He's like, and then goes back to drinking.
And so, right about this time, excuse me one second. Sorry, I had to fight a cough there. I lost. About this time, all four of you kind of individually hear what sounds like a very far off conversation between at least two voices you can make out. One of them was the voice that you heard. The other one, and that voice says, "All right, go get him." And the other voice is like, "So are they going to be where like we told them to be, or are we going to have another one of those situations, bro?" And before the voice you recognize can say anything, it just gets too far away. And you can't, and now you don't hear anything in your head out of the ordinary.
Argos kind of looks around like, I heard that distinctly over anything else going on in this tavern, as though it was whispered in my ear. He kind of, this is what he thinks to himself, kind of like looking around.
My eyes are almost crossed with how close to my face in space I am focused. Did the rest of you hear that? Did anybody else hear that?
You
No?
just you see the very well dressed man look over in your direction as you raise your voice and start yelling, and you just see him shake his head and look down at your soiled trousers that he can sort of see, and and your bare feet, and he says, you can see his mouth move in this like semi-disgust, but he wipes it off just like royalty wipes off a disgusted look. So it's sort of replaced in an instant with elegance again. But you do see the curl before he manages to right himself.
So this strange cross-eyed man sitting next to both of you have just yelled, "Did anybody hear that?"
Argos kind of looks at him, and he wants to reply to him, but he at this moment thinks, this man is crazy. I think I need to find another seat.
Gardain will set his cup down. "Yes, I heard it. What do I win?"
All of a sudden, my eyes go from focused real close to my face to right on you. Why are we here?
Well, that is a philosophical question that has been passed down through people for generations, and people have spent the years, even thousands of generations, trying to answer that same subject.
And if you still haven't found it out, there's no time for you. But why are we here?
But he also grew up though in an area that.
And I will hand him I will hand him what's left of my cup. Ale.
if you heard it, someone else had to. There's no way. Logic would state that there are, wherever two are gathered hearing voices, the voice must be reaching the entire room. Did whoever's on my other side, did you hear that?
Argos looks at him and goes, "Ka, yes."
Thank you. I'm not crazy. Who do we have to get? It is very unwise to not do what the voices say when the voices speak to you.
Mhm.
Argos is kind of like just he just goes just like just stroking those those tentacles on his chin. He just ooh, like just like almost like he wants to say something but does not know how to reply.
And Jules, you sitting on this side of the table, you actually see that heavyset man kind of push himself a little sloppily up from where he is sitting at the bar, and he kind of staggers and he gets his balance and he turns around, and at first he kind of looks at you and he just shakes his head, kind of got this snarl, and then you see his eyes track over to the dwarf, and that little snarl kind of amplifies a little bit, and he pulls his head back a little bit, and he notices that right next to him is this crazy person who had all these stories at the bar and is making up lies about how he heard the voice. And then finally, the polite dragon that held the door for him. And you can see, almost for a moment, he's kind of like, he's cool. But then his eyes fix again, kind of on the back of the head of this elf. And he takes a couple of stumbly steps over to him, and he kind of gives him an attention-getting shove. So, Nailo, you just kind of got shoved a little bit from the back.
Not one to want to mess with someone. Make a wisdom save.
DC?
13.
He fails.
Great. With a split second, I go, "Don't tell him where I am," and I crawl under the table. I just used blind spot. As an action, you erase your image from the mind of one creature you can see within 120 feet of you. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or you are invisible to it until the end of your next turn.
And while Nailo is crawling under the table, everybody else, if you're looking, you see this guy kind of blink real hard, and he doesn't move, but you see his eyes kind of racing back and forth. He's still kind of having trouble balancing, and he sits there and he grabs the chair and shakes it a little bit, and he kind of throws it behind him a little violently, and he turns to the dwarf, who is just about to put a little bit more beer in his gullet, and he slaps the mug out of your hand. And he says, "How dare you talk to me like you did?" And all of you hear this loud explosion, eruption sound outside.
When he did that, and then I look and I see the ale, and I'm kind of sad, and then I hear the explosion, and I'm going to pick up my battle axe, and I'm going to walk it. I'm starting to head towards the door to see what the explosion was all about.
You're not the only one. Everybody in the bar, except for this drunkard, immediately kind of puts their hands in the position where their weapons would be. Most of the bar, fancy table at the back, most of them have pulled tiny knives out of their boots or pocket and pulled out this crossbow. But most of them have their hand on their hip because a lot of them sport swords, some of them with their hand on their back, gripping the handle of some sort of weapon, and they all kind of collectively stand up. The raucous crowd and the bartender, ding, ding, rings it real fast and says, "We haven't had any reports. Don't know what this is." And so they are starting to get up and head towards the door.
Our guy's hearing the explosion without question stands up and it will be the first one to head outside.
She sent it and launched her.
And hearing the bell and kind of seeing everybody get up and walk off, he kind of throws a punch out at the dwarf, but completely misses and crashes hard. And from under the table, you can see this guy is sawing logs. He's passed out.
Good.
Feeling the wind from his hit, Gardain whirls to answer back, but sees him on the ground, lightweight, and continues to try to. Since everybody is running, he's like, "Crap! I got to get there before it's gone."
And everybody hears a series of explosions. Some of them seem far off. Some of them seem a little ways off. None of them as close as the one you just heard. But you hear explosions, almost like you could make the intuitive leap that you're hearing these explosions all over town.
What do I see outside when I get out there?
Is everybody going outside?
I would like to
Gingerly.
I hear these explosions and my mind instantly starts going back into all of the things that I've read about that might have happened nearby. Recent things in the town, as well as ancient things that happened in this area, to see whether I might be able to remember what these sounds might be if this has happened before.
Let's see. So I think an Arcana check would be the only way that you would have this information.
All right. That is fine. I will. That is a good point. I should really get my dice.
I just had to do the same thing when I had to roll that save.
1 second.
If we're trained in Arcana, would we naturally gravitate toward that answer, or do you want me to stay away from that for now?
You can make the roll too, if you want.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that since that is something that you know about, there's a chance that perhaps you've heard about it. You may not know specifically what it is, but you might get something.
The mighty Deuce.
Jules?
It's loud and it is explosive. And get this, it also makes holes in the ground.
I'm close to the ground. This is bad.
Well, guess you shouldn't hit under a table.
I would say that your initial running through of your information that you would have be something that would come up, that you would just pass this off as not Arcana related.
Okay.
Um,
I got 13.
yeah, so you can think of a lot of things. Specifically, while you may not have access to them, you run with a fancy crowd, and fancy crowds find fancy ways to do mundane things. So fancy crowds find fancier ways to do fancy things. And so you have seen a lot of your friends perform certain spells that can resemble what you're hearing, but nothing that's a dead match.
All right. In that case, I look over to the barkeep to see what his reaction is before I do anything.
As soon as he got done saying that they hadn't had any reports, he actually reached under his side of the bar and pulled out this long crossbow and kind of vaulted over the bar itself and is walking out with the crowd.
Okay. So I will probably try and stick with Esmeralda and try to keep her from the throng of people that is heading towards the door all at the same time. Not because I'm scared of her getting hurt, but because there's so many people all going for the door at the same time.
Sure. Yeah, and even though it was not initially, it's a big double door set. One of the doors was just locked, and so they'd only been using one of the doors because this used to be a jail. So sometimes they had to bring more than one person in. So they were double doors, but the second door is flung open. And I would even say that just because doors are not hard to manage, Argaz was the one who unlocked it and opened it. So you saw the Dragonborn actually get the door open. And so now there's ample space for people to get outside. But I ask again, it sounds like most of us are, but are all of us going outside?
I'm letting the bar clear out just a bit. My opinion is not that I'm working with people. I don't want to be responsible for their lives. But if we all fight or fire in the same direction, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So then this is kind of what happens. First one out the door was Argos, and your view of what you can see. Actually, let's do this because I'd like to do it this way. I'm going to have everybody roll perception, but what I would like for you to do is tell me the specific sense you are kind of using as your perception. So if more than one of you want to use the same sense, that's fine, because different tiers of what you could see. But like if you wanted to say, "Oh, tell me what I see," then you will get a good image of what is out there. But everybody else will get different aspects. So perception checks. Let's see what happens. And if this falls flat, then we'll never do it again. And if you say taste, it's going to be beer.
What do I feel? Tell me how it feels.
Hey, well, if it's
okay.
taste, I win.
So we'll start with the order in which we walked outside. So again, Argaz, you get through the door and you step out, and as you step out, these that was in the building is kind of running out into different locations, almost like it's like a fire plan. If your house gets caught on fire, where do you meet? But these guys kind of have a reactive nature, more so than you do, because you kind of get caught staring at just the scene. And the first thing you notice is when you walked into this bar, it was lunchtime. Right now, all of the stuff that happened took maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And when you walked in, sunshine, beautiful day. First thing you notice is the sky. It's a gray, swirling cloud next to another, next to another, next to another. The entire sky is just full. And it doesn't necessarily look like tornadoes. They look like whirlpools going up. And they're intermingling and mixing and mashing. And your eyes, something catches out of the corner of your eye, and you notice that for the expanse of this city, you're actually on higher ground than most of the city, so you can see it stretch for a ways. And
if I can, I'd like to ask, I got one question.
Go ahead.
How is not the people that are coming out of the tavern acting? How is the people that are the commoners on the street, how are they acting to this?
The exact same way as the bar patrons.
Ah, okay. All right, thank you.
But you see just the city, and there are buildings all over town that are on fire, and you see off in the distance an explosion. And it's just this kind of ball of white light with a red outline that just pops. And you get down, and in front of you, you see this kind of Gothic church. At the top, there's a big steeple that leads to a cross and what looks like a gargoyle kind of sitting on top of the cross. And then finally, at street level, there it is in front of you. This 2-foot tall, giant mouth, hair on fire, red creature. And yeah, that's where we'll put that. So that's what you see.
Okay.
And so the next one out is, let's see, that's our Gardain. And he walks out, and kind of being a little bit shorter and pushing into people's backs, you can actually hear it before you can see it. There are eruptions occurring. You know, it sounds like they're moving past you. You know, they were close, and now they're getting further and further away. And you can hear people kind of barking out orders. You can hear specifically some of the voices from the patrons as they're kind of saying, okay, you three come with me, we're going over there. And someone else saying, grab the shields, they're around the side, we're going to meet up on, and the next one, and the next group. And then finally, you hear this odd sound that just seems to pierce all of this madness. And it's just this. And then so next is Jules. And Jules, you're kind of coming through your focus for whatever reason. You're not visually catching everything because there's just this overwhelming smell of methane, this very toxic, pungent gas. Just, you can just, it is, how are you not gagging? You know, your eyes are almost kind of bloodshot from this. You can smell a lot of smoke is kind of coming out of the area. And actually, I'll give you this one. Kind of looking down, you can see that because of the stone that this building was made out of, you can see where there is a kind of divot in the earth. Explosion that you heard must have happened. And so luckily the building was still. And then I should say, probably the last thing that you smell, kind of holding your breath for a minute, clearing the system, and then kind of gasping for air, breathing through your mouth and nose at the same time. I guess best way to put it is you something, I guess probably an additional accelerant is probably the best way to put it. A different pungent smell that kind of cuts through. And this one's kind of coming off to your side. And then creeping out last is everybody's favorite weirdo, Naelo. I don't know if your eyes are crossed, but the sounds that you hear coming out last, are actually, you don't hear a lot of the people barking out orders. You do hear a voice tell somebody, look, I'll be right back. I got to go take care of this. I'll see you in a minute. And at that moment, Jules, Esmeralda, kind of runs over to a group of 2 people who are attempting to do a 3-person job. But she's not far. She's 10 feet. And you actually hear the sound of like straw catching fire. And it's off to your left around possibly the side of the building. You hear lightning strikes, and you hear this sound that's it sounds like a scroll being torn. And you hear my favorite thing. You hear I don't have a way to compare this to something that happened back then, but it sounds like a distant engine. And so now you're all standing here. You got this weird little dude. Now everybody's kind of experiencing all of those things that I just talked about. And you see this thing right in front of you. Roll initiative.
Eric, we are bound together. This story started with us not knowing which one of us is going to go first. And here we are again, not knowing which one of us is going to go first.
Next thing you know, we're going to have to be like, all right, there's a step, there's a ladder going down. Who goes first? There's a treasure to open. Who opens it first? The mighty paradox of this campaign.
So who's going first?
I'll let Nilo go first because I'm a nice guy. And
You're
Nilo,
Right.
and Nilo's crazy.
All right. So, I'm going to learn your names at some point. Gardane, you are first to act. Again, you have this odd shaped little red monster whose hair kind of is on fire. He's got this big mouth with these just sharp teeth and these claws on his hand, but he's only about 2 feet tall.
I will start walking towards the red dude, the red monster, and I was stop what you're doing. Stop it now.
Just clatters its teeth kind of at you, making that sound.
Oh well, about how far is it? Because I don't have that. I don't have that big a movement on as a door.
I mean, it's about. He's probably only about 20 feet away. You actually, now that you're in battle, you can see that these things are all over the place. There seems to be like a group of 3 to 4 aged around each one of these that are scattered throughout the streets.
Okay.
So 20 feet is how far away he is.
Okay. So I will move up to it, and I will actually try to move past it to gauge its intention. I can move 25, so I'll go my distance, and I'll go 5 past him just to see what his intentions are.
Since you are still within his attack range, he would not have an opportunity attack at you if you tried to walk past him. If you went up to him and walked back from him, you could find out if he would attack you.
Okay, then I will walk up 20 feet, and instead of walking past him, I will back up 5 feet. Just to see what his intentions are.
All right. He tries to slash at you. He's gonna whiff on this one, I think. Yep. So he kind of reaches out at you, and right as you kind of step away from him, you see him reach out and try and claw you, but he doesn't get you.
I will nod to him. Hostile, I see. Okay.
Would you like to take an action or anything else?
Let's see. Well, I moved back away from him, so I don't. Yeah, hold on. I think I have Actually, I think I have something in the cantrip area. Yeah, I'm going to try to cast. I'm going to cast Sacred. No. Oh yeah, Sacred Flame at him.
Okay. What's the DC?
DC 13.
Let's see. I would say that he just made it.
Okay. And he doesn't get it, then that's it. That's mine.
All right. All right. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Getting a coffee refill at the moment.
Yeah.
All right. Refilled. Let's see. So then that puts up, next is Jules.
All right. So I see this one red creature that's there, and you say that there's a number of others. Is there like a gathering of them, or are they kind of just like dotted all over the place?
They're dotted all over the place. I mean, the next one I would say is like 100 feet away.
Okay, so there, yeah.
There's not a big
All right.
group of them anywhere.
All right. And you said that that Esmeralda had sort of gone to help someone do something. Was that important? Does that look important?
No. So with essentially what they're doing is they're helping one of the guys put on armor, and with the 3 of them, it goes a lot faster. So she just essentially helped balance the chest plate as it went over the top, and they're still kind of engaged in that. But again, she's still nearby.
All right. So what I do then is I say, Well, that was a mighty fine flash of light that you made there. Perhaps I can help. And I will wade through the crowd to be in melee with the creature, and I will take the help action for the next person to attack it. So they will have advantage on their attack. And how I'm doing this is I walk up to the creature and I say, and I sort of basically just go, I'm here, look at me.
Anything else you want to do?
So this thing, it's not an ability check that they're going to make, so nope, that is just fine. I'm just doing that for the time being.
All right. So you're giving him the business, saying, here I am. And as you kind of zag to the left, he reaches out and he catches you with his claw.
All right.
And 2 slashing.
Okay.
And he hits you and nothing happens, and you see his little face, which now that you're right up on him, you can see he's like shaking frantically, but it's almost like it's controlled, but he's just shaking super fast, and you can see his cheeks kind of, he's looking at you and he's mad after he hits you. Then Mr. Nailo.
Okay. I don't like this situation. How tall is the iron bar?
It's 12 feet to the roof.
Oh,
There's not very many. I mean, that's to a point where you could get to. The total height of the building is probably like 20 feet, but that's because there's an attic. But you can get to the roof in 12.
perfect. I'll go ahead and no, I want to go up to the highest point. I'm going to spend, since I haven't moved yet on my turn, let's use a bonus action to spend a side point, and I teleport up to the roof 20 feet. 20 feet, which can put me up on the roof.
Cool. And then you're wanting to move to the highest point of the roof?
No. Now my speed
Okay.
is reduced to 0 after I do that. So I'm trying to just get up as high as I can to get a better vantage point.
Anything else?
I'm going to fire at anyone that seems that I've got a clear shot.
Obviously, the one with your fashionably dressed man is the one that you have the best shot on. There are some. What kind of bow is it?
It's a light crossbow.
Okay, yeah. Most of them you would have to take a shot at with disadvantage, or they're like around a corner, so you don't actually have the ability to hit them.
Is the one that Jules is on actually within the regular range?
Yes.
Perfect. Then I will take advantage of that, and I will fire away.
So you have advantage.
Yep. The mighty 2. Here it comes. Sweet. No, that's going to be a 19 to hit.
That'll hit him.
And that'll be 5 piercing damage to it.
Alrighty.
And Jules will see you at the top of the building, and he will sort of do this little flourish, and he will say, here's a clear shot. And he'll sort of step to the side, and a crossbow bolt will just come streaming down into the air and soak into the creature without any stress or problems at all.
After I hit and you look back up, in the darkness, the wind throwing around, you see my tattered rags just billowing off to the side as I'm already reloading the next one.
And you would see, everybody would see this bolt except maybe the reloading man or elf. But the bolt hits him, and it's like, excellent shot, middle of the chest. And it actually comes out the other side, having hit a little bit, almost like having hit water for a brief moment, and then falls out on the backside, evaporates away. And this creature just gets even more upset as this hole kind of fills with this liquid lava. And you can see it hurt, but it definitely pissed him off. So then we are up to Argaz.
Argaz, well, seeing the thing he originally thought was good. Well, it's okay with different things in this world. He makes a mad dash for it, but he waits till like almost a split second getting past it to actually to use the unsheathing motion of his sword as an actual way of a sudden strike on him. That is a unnatural 20, but it's still a 20 nonetheless. Is that it? Okay, and
yep.
Oh, damn it. Okay, and he'll take 11 points of damage.
All right. And so you run by him and you give this slash, and it's almost like it almost cut all the way through him. But then again, kind of the same body seems to gel together with this lava is all you can think of. But something strange happens. It kind of spurts out a little bit. This look of anger. He kind of looks up at this dancing figure in front of him, and you can see his eyes go from being mad to being very worried. And where is it? Everybody that is within 10 feet, which is everybody other than Nailo, this thing explodes and its body just kind of sprays on top of you. And you take 2 fire damage.
I take 1 fire damage. I have fire resistance.
Then you hear coming from behind you, I would say that Jules, you know who it is, Esmeralda's yelling out, "Oh shit, here comes another." And as you all kind of turn around now, in the other direction, you see this little red thing kind of running up. His hair is not on fire though, but as soon as he sees you, he sticks his thumb in his mouth and blows real hard, and it shoots fire up, a big gout of it. And he actually at you. Eventually he kind of turns, takes a hard left turn, and dives into the iron bar, and you hear a blast from inside. And what I need is for everyone to make a perception check, just a regular one.
Do I get a penalty because I'm on top of it? Is there a chance at all for me?
Just make a perception check.
Okay.
$163. Wow, that's very impressive.
It was natural. It was on the dice.
I have a D163.
Hey, I did
That's a
not
crit,
even.
dude.
I did not even see Like I'm surprised. I can even know it's daytime.
My head.
Yeah, I would say that we'll do Eric first because he didn't do anything. He sat there and he made this slash, and he was almost in like this finisher pose of just kind of standing there, having just cut this thing in half, and then it exploded, and it's like the cool hero not looking at the explosion. That's exactly what was going on here, but that also meant that he missed the next one. Go and run and dive in. Yeah, we'll say I'll stick with Matt. You would have actually, since you were kind of turned and saw it, and the double doors are open. You see the explosion, and maybe even you take like a step or two, and you look at the inside, and some of the tables are turned over, and the chairs are definitely thrown out, but everything in the iron bar is iron. And this explosion did not seem to do anything other than make it so that they needed to clean up. Jim and Gardane, you guys see two things. First thing, I'll say, we'll start with Gardane. This makes sense. At the top of that cross, that gargoyle seems to flinch, and then it spreads out these giant barbed wings, and you see it flap once, flap twice, and then it kind of flies further into town fairly quickly. And what you would see, especially since you're on top of the house, Nailo, is that sound, that propulsion, that engine. In the sky, you see a shooting star, maybe something, but it's way too close to the ground to be a shooting star. That's a person. And he seems to be in this odd armored outfit. He has a helmet on, so you can't see any features, but you can see, tissue. This is a man. So anyway, so now it's you four kind of standing together. Well, except Nailo, but you could definitely talk from where you're at.
I'm going to. Do I think I can take a shot at that gargoyle, or are we out of combat for this?
It was probably out of your or close to your weapon's range where it sat when it was at the top of the church.
So away from us from there.
Right. Yeah. It's flying away from where you guys are.
Okay. I've got currently with my crossbow, I have no disadvantage up to 320 feet.
Okay.
So it's still out of range?
I mean, no. You can, if you have 300 range, go for it.
I bring up my crossbow. I look at everybody else. I stow it back under my rags and refocus for just a moment. You watch me open my eyes. I reach out and grab something. And then I'm going to attempt to climb down. Mechanics-wise, I just used my bonus action to change my focus and to have proficiency in athletics.
Cool. Yeah. So this odd man. How do you get down? So, well, let's see. Make sure you don't fall.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be glorious. 20 feet, right? No, it's a 14.
Cool. Yeah. So down the side of the iron bar, you actually grab one of the bars that just didn't seem to make it into the external structure, but it's still obviously part of the building. It holds up something like a structural piece of the roof, and you just sit there and you kind of slide down this thing, land on your feet, and walk over to the party.
You walk,
if that's what you're shooting for.
absolutely. And as I'm walking over to them, I put my hand on my head and almost pull it away and put it back into the atmosphere around me. So you hear the voices too?
Argos is looking around to see if there's any more of those magma guys, because I'm sure their threat ain't done.
For the most part in this area, especially due to the quick response time, everybody seems to be kind of finishing right now as you're taking this in, and as your eyes kind of flick from one group to the next to the ones that you can see, creatures are still alive. They are wrapped in nets and bound. And you can actually see that they're all kind of being gathered in one spot. And there's, it's actually Brog is standing there, and he's holding his hands up as it creates sort of this dim dome over the top of where everybody is bringing these things. And the dome starts out massive, and you can see it kind of pulling inward. And everybody's kind of rushing them over to the same area. So at least in this area, there's not a whole lot of fighting still going on.
I was like,
Good.
yeah, voices. Is the bar still on fire?
No, the bar actually never caught fire. There are places that are on fire further down in town, but again, this area had quick response. So. And actually,
go ahead.
The last thing that kind of happens is Brog sits here, and as this dome is closing in, you can see one of the other guys kind of standing around, pulls out something from his pocket, and as he strikes it across a pad, it almost seems to illuminate green. And from where you guys are, you can actually see there's this like green ball that's just emanating light, and the guy drops it on the ground, and it rolls into the area of this dome, and the dome closes, and as soon as it gets past Brog, nobody else is left in the dome. That little green ball explodes, and each of those little red monsters kind of chain reaction explode, but everything is being held inside of this dome that Brog seems to be controlling. And then finally, as the last one explodes, the dome of energy just pops and is gone. And everybody is starting to kind of come back over towards you guys. Or towards the bar is probably more appropriate.
I ain't crazy. Y'all did see the large stone thing fly off, right?
Yes. The Geno direction did it go?
I watched it fly that way. Should we go after it? I mean, not all of the buildings around here are made like the Iron Place. I don't mind if you want to stay in front.
Argos looks at the other three, waiting for their response.
The well-dressed man looks pretty injured. He's sort of rubbing his clothes down from the ash and making sure that he's all right. He half he steps gingerly and realizes that he's okay, and then heads towards back towards the inn, and he says, "Might grab a bucket of water, and I think that those would be the most helpful things. If there's fire, water is the best what we can do." And he'll head and see if he can grab a bucket of water from inside the inn.
Actually, as you're walking away, if you can take away its oxygen, that would be better. It might just be easier to get the water. Yes.
And all of you hear the crowd kind of, or another, just kind of at random, everybody in the crowd kind of says, "Bravo, bravo, 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 bravo." The sound of that engine is getting louder, getting closer. And as you're about to take a step into the bar, you kind of cock your head and turn around, and you see this man in this pristine, shiny, looks like scale mail, but it only looks like it. It's not making any of the sound. It looks very flexible. This guy has these large shoulder pad look to it, and you can actually see they're flared up right now with these tiny little spigots of some sort kind of underneath, and all the way down at his boots you see this flare kind of being this guiding light that seems to be pushing him and allowing him to manipulate and fly and things like that. And he kind of comes up, brakes, and he lands on the ground, and he has this helmet. It looks like it's sturdy as iron, but you can see he kind of reaches up and he knocks on it a couple of times, and he says something under his breath, but it sounds like wood. And then finally he comes back up and he's like, "Yeah, I found him." And he's sitting there, and he's kind of scanning the crowd, and you can kind of see him just looking up and down and getting everybody into his gap. And everybody is kind of walking up, and all at once everyone yells out, "It's Bravo!"
Looking around at the Noosphere, I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah, if you're a regular in West Rock, if you live here specifically, Bravo is somebody who works for the Heroes Guild.
Well, when seeing everything that settled down, it seems like the combat is over. He pulls up the scabbard that he pulled his sword up and runs it along the length of it and puts it back and makes his way towards Bravo.
Yeah, everybody's kind of closing in on him. Go ahead, Clyde.
So we're just ignoring the giant stone creature? Yep. Nope. Yep.
At the name Bravo, I go, "Yes. Good job, everyone. Good job. Good job. We did very well." I don't understand.
Hurry. He'll know what to do.
And so he kind of spreads his arms out. We're here and you can see him. As he's been kind of scanning this crowd, he's kind of stalling a little bit. Look through the crowd. He's only gotten to Argaz, and you can see when he hits Argaz, his head stops moving, and then he nods, and then he keeps moving. His sight gets over and lands on the next one, and it kind of stops, and he views. Says, "Are taking care of the situation in town. We appreciate your help. Do everything you can to keep everybody safe." And then you hear whirling blades sound kind of coming up. Who is riding two spinning circular blades, both spinning in opposite directions. Been up on this thing, and you can tell by looking at him, he is in prime physical shape. He's also not wearing a shirt. He has blonde hair, straight back, and he's got on these bracers that hit him, that kind of tie over the finger and reach all the way up to the elbow, but they're just big, thick leather bracers. He actually has on, he's wearing a sash that is white with a red stripe and a blue tip. Happens to match the armor color of Bravo. And he comes up and he kind of does the same thing, and just hovering over the air, 6 feet in the air, to the bottom of his blade. He's got his arms crossed, and he's like, "Have you found him yet, or we got to keep looking?" And Bravo says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's Craig." And Bravo kind of steps back and he puts his arms behind his back, and Craig floats forward. Says, "All right, holy bros, in here." And he kind of turns and he looks, and you four have, through the movement of the crowd, ended up just right next to each other. Says, "This is sweet. Yo, bruvs, they're all right here."
Argos looking at the two, and then looking back to the three that he thinks they're speaking to, because apparently we're all in the same place. And he kind of just gives, kind of a smile, kind of feeling that he kind of guessed it right, that fates have brought him here for a reason.
And right as you get that feeling, right next to you is Brog. And he's standing there, and he's just got this stoic face, and he's just kind of looking up at Craig, intently listening. He understands that Craig has something important to say, but you might sense that he's got a little bit of a tickle in the back of his head since he's been around for so long and still not picked. On the other side, there is the young lady who started the tale with the rapier, and she steps forward in front of you guys. She's like, "It's about time that you guys got me." And Craig just puts his hand on her face and shoves her to the side and says, "Not you," and goes back and kind of looks at you guys, and he points and he says, "You." And it's kind of a general point to your area.
Mhm.
When he points at Argos kind of like, just like kind of like stiffens up a little bit and looks at the other two, and he kind of like has that look like me.
And I pipe up and I say, "You don't need to be so rude about it. Oh my. Didn't your mother ever teach you manners?"
You're saying that to Craig?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Craig kind of looks at you, and he's got this kind of dumb guy smile on his face, and he looks at you. It's like, Yeah, she was sweet to me. I loved her. Them butternut cakes. Oh, that's what we had. And he's just kind of, he's a little spacey.
Well, if she didn't teach you about good old fashioned respect, I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know why I'm here. Um, I hear voices.
He says,
There haven't
and you kind of, dude, all right, you live in like the trunk of a tree or something, right?
under a rock, yes.
And he kind of puts his hand up to his ear, and he says, Nalo, Nailo, is that you?
A form of me, yes. You can call me Roland.
Roland, great. Look, bro, we are here
You watch
to.
the words he's using just seem forward, and you watch me reach out and while he's talking to me, and I'm trying to find the language. Look, bro.
It's like so. Yeah, it's your big day, man. You got the call, right? And the entire crowd around you kind of starts whispering to each other, "Oh my God, he was telling the truth." The bar owner lets out a cheer, almost in celebration that another hero was picked up at his bar.
I really don't know what this means. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. Wait a minute. And he looks over at the girl that he pushed down. And then he looks at Bravo, and Bravo just shakes his head. He looks back. Okay, so where's the other one?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I'm the only version of me here.
Okay, cool. And you can see he is not wanting to get into this chess match with you, even though he's thinking it's chess and it's probably Uno. But he looks, and he just looks at the next person, and he looks at Jules and says, "You there?" And he puts his hand to his ear, and then comes back. Jules, where's the other one?
Well, you just have to be a little bit more specific, won't you?
And he puts his hand back up to his ear, and you can see as soon as he does that, he like turns his head, kind of cranks it like something loud or some sort of feedback or something came through. And he looks over at Bravo, and Bravo puts his finger up to his ear, and again it kind of cocks to the side. And he says, Dish, the problem is I can't tell you who it is right now. You all got a message yesterday at some point, and it told you to come to the Iron Pub at lunch today, and that you're all here.
Well,
In the
you
back.
know, I know what it is to be chosen. I've been looking forward to this day, and I don't know who else is there. I mean, we ain't got their message. Only they got their message, and if they're not here, well, they might have been way late.
Still, you know, I've been, since I'm the shorter and people have crowded past me, I'll sit there and still watching the gargoyle and know that everybody doesn't even care about the gargoyle. I'll push back through and I'll pat the girl on the shoulder and says, "I owe you one." And I'll stand with the rest of them. I says, "I heard the voice too." Yeah.
Yeah, and Craig kind of acknowledges you, and he looks over to Bravo, and is kind of pointing to being a show off, saying, "Totally totes, man. It's right. I told you." And Bravo is just sitting there, and he head is cocked and aimed at something else, and his shoulders kind of shrug. He's like, "Did you tell him the Iron Pub or the Iron Bar?" And Craig's like, "Iron Pub, dude. It's always the Iron Pub." Bravo points up at the sign, and it says Iron Bar very clearly. Craig is just like, "Well, all right, guys. So, like I said, you were giving you the little tryout for the team later. You could really score some brownie points. I need you to go to the Iron Pub and get the other guy, because as you can see, there's some other stuff going on right now, and we're gonna take care of it."
I'll sort of sort of butt in as is going through, and I say, "Well, I don't know about the Iron Pub, but my good friend Esmeralda here, I can vouch for her. She's quite skilled hand in a fight. You sure she's not on the list?"
And almost like a bouncer, Bravo steps forward and says, "Ma'am, did you hear the call?" Esmeralda is just trying to say something because she's very excited at the prospect of this possibility. And then she says, and Bravo says, "Thank you for your time, ma'am. When you get the call, we'll see you." And he steps back.
I look apologetically at her, and I'll look over to this man who's got this foul, caked, muddy pants, and I sort of say to him, "Well, it seems like you and I have been called, and these other fine fellas too." And I try to explain to him what in history has happened with people who've been called, and that people of all races and all types have been called. And I say, but bless me, damn, I don't know what you can do, but you certainly shot that crossbow, so I guess I better not judge you.
Muted.
Well, I guess if what you're looking for, Mr. Craig, is someone who knows things, or at least can find things out, I could be. And you watch a very serious look come over his face for just a moment. And then back to the jovial, confused person that you've seen so far. I guess I could be persuaded to join you.
Well, it's a great honor.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
But you might need some soap.
Some what?
I say, just wait a minute. When we get to a bath, I'll make sure that you're well looked after.
Oh, I have a creek back at my rock. Where is this Iron Pub?
Anyone familiar with
Which is why I'm asking.
So I'll pipe up and
I'm just telling everybody else.
yeah, so,
I'll, Argos chuckles, and he goes, "Well, I guess our Cress's destiny has been chosen."
I don't know about Destiny, but I sure know where that pub is.
And Gardane will start walking to it. Let's go, fellas.
Yui,
Cool.
okay. Yui, okay.
So, 3 of you are from town, right? Or at least familiar with town.
Yes, I live here.
All right. So you guys know that there are 3 pretty common ways that people go to get there. You can go by the Celsa Tower, which is a 3-story building, one of the tallest in the city. That one is a little longer, but you don't make as many turns. You make one turn. You go down, hit it, take a left. But it's a little bit longer. You have another one that goes right through the north central hub of town, which is kind of where you guys are at. It's called the Poco Roco Fountain. It takes you right past the square where that would be. The most direct route is taking some of the back streets. And Bravo kind of sparks his engines, and you see him kind of lift off the ground, and he looks at Craig, and he shoots off, and Craig's still kind of floating there on these blades. Says to you, "Stay to the letter, avoid the vendettas, cleanse the damned, and protect the lamb," and he flies off.
That guy needs a better saying.
Okay, yeah. I think we should just go the quickest route there.
Through the back streets? I don't know.
Yes.
So we know that the city is pretty safe on the majority of days, but all of this has kind of happened. So this is a very unusual occurrence, something crazy like this happening. And I sort of look to him and I sort of say, well, you know, if the good people of this city have been hit with explosions like these, they might not be in a good shape, you know? And going through the most populated area of town, I don't know if that's the best, if they're going to be in a bad shape, but maybe we can help them.
I don't know who this Bravo and Craig are, but they told us to find somebody to be with us. If this is going on around here, do we have the time to help those we pass?
Cool. No.
We'll take the one that has. I know a way. Don't worry. It's a bit longer, but we only have one turn. Follow me. My nose knows.
As you start to walk off, I reach out, grasp, bring it to my head, and I follow you.
He kind of chuckles, and he falls in behind the door.
All right. So you guys agreed to follow to the Celsa Tower. Okay, cool. So essentially what you do after the road that you're on kind of curves, you can see out in front of you a great stretch of this road just going for quite a while. And off in the distance, you can all see the Celsa Tower. Again, it's 3 stories, so it's a pretty easy landmark to notice. Around you can see a lot of these spots where what you presume are those explosions have kind of occurred. And in certain spaces, there are people who are having wounds tended to, trying to put fires out as best as they can. And up the road a little ways, you kind of see 4 people in the road arguing with each other. And they all are wearing like these long trenched robes. Hoods are up, and they're a black robe with kind of a red lining all around at the cuffs, at the top of the hood, at the foot of the train. It's all red, and they're all kind of talking to each other. And one of them gets mad, and he turns, and he just belches out this, light from his hand, and the building off to the side just immediately catches fire, and the other ones start to get upset, and they all kind of do the same thing. And on this road, on this city block, almost all the buildings on the left and right side of the road just kind of erupt into flame.
How far away is this?
They are probably far enough that you can't quite make out what they're saying, but you can understand the tone.
I look
I
to
start
the door.
reaching toward my crossbow.
I look to the door, and I says, "You know that is our Sanduo, our direction."
Gardain says, "Yep," and I take off running towards those people that are taking off running at the people that are setting the places on fire.
Sure.
He kind of just wonders if all dwarves act like this, and I'll follow suit.
I'll see if I can deal with this. Am I within 60 feet of them?
You are within 60 feet of 2 of them.
2 of them? Well, that's fine. And they're kind of in a bit of a clump. They're within about 10, 20, 30 feet of each other, something like that.
They are, yes.
I would love to cast sleep.
Okay.
If I could.
Go for it.
So it's centered in the middle of them?
They're all in your sleep.
Yeah.
Get them all.
All right. Cool. Yeah, they've set the thing alight, and so I'm gonna see what I can do here. So I've got 5d8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a total of 22 hit points worth.
All right. Yeah, the 2 that are closest to you just fall over. And the other 2 don't even seem to notice. They're just sitting there kind of over their shoulders with their backs to you, just firing off, kind of controlling this fire. And when those first 2 drop asleep, the light that they shined and the fires they created almost immediately disappear, except for the parts that had been set on fire of whatever that spell was.
Yeah. So no one else will see this, but the ones that were affected by it would see this. They see the image, an image of me come into their heads, and then I start singing in their heads a lullaby that they remember keenly from their childhood, something perhaps that we've all heard. And because of the lulling sounds, they just immediately just fall into a deep slumber, just like they did as children. And yeah, and that's how I'm going to skin it. So anyway, that's what I do.
Very cool. So let's see. So I think we have heard that we've got 2 charging in, 1 put some to sleep. That leaves us with Nailo. What are you doing?
I'm going to be helping with support while I pull a trigger and shoot.
Okay. So then I will say, let's go with a surprise round. Matt, what you did will have been your surprise round. So everybody roll initiative, please. Right. All right. So the distance covered at this point, I would say that I'll say you are 40 feet because you would have moved a little bit since you said you did. Let's see. Sorry, I will get good. Roll initiative, Matt. Somebody tell him that. Oh, where did I write him down? Sorry, guys. All right, so. All right, cool. So that brings up Argos will be first. You are 40 feet away.
I rolled a
Whenever
2
you're
on
ready.
initiative, just so you know.
Oh, what did I write down? Oh, I wrote that down. I'm sorry.
Argos. It's
I'm sorry. Gardain.
Okay. I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt at one of them.
Okay. Is it one of the ones that's asleep?
Oh, no, the one that's
Or-
still burning.
Okay.
DC 13.
Is it a
Wisdom.
type of save is it?
Clyde, you have to make an attack roll with the guiding bolt.
Yeah,
The
guiding
save-
bolt is attack.
Yeah, because guiding bolt, if it hits, it does its damage. They make a savings throw. If they fail, whoever makes an attack on it next has, I think.
No, this is Sacred Flame.
Did you say guiding
You
bolt?
said guiding bolt.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Sacred Flame. Sacred Flame.
Oh, you dick! I was about to say, Jesus.
Okay.
All right. So the one that you light up kind of gets hit in the back and reels. How much damage does he take?
7.
All right. Yeah, this definitely gets his attention. He kind of gets pushed forward a little bit, and he's starting to turn his head over his shoulder. So that would bring up sweet Roland.
okay. I will move to get a clear shot and fire away at the same one. Does a 14 hit?
A 14 does hit.
Sweet. That's 6 piercing damage then.
Before that one can turn around, he falls over.
Whoop! I'm already reaching up under my dirty rags to start loading another one.
And the two that are asleep. Wait, we're still in surprise round. Sorry. Go ahead, Argos.
All right. Well, Argos charges at 1. Does a 17 hit?
A 17 would hit.
Okay, that's 13 points of damage to him.
All right. So are you aiming at one of them that's asleep or the other one that's standing?
One of them is standing. I don't attack sleeping foes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you come up and with your weapon, you make a great slash across, and it catches him in the side, and he turns. And I'm sorry I skipped you, but Jules, it is your turn in initiative.
All right. I am going to attempt to cast Vicious Mockery on this one, please. So he needs a Wisdom saving throw. And it's 13.
He did not make it.
You make it?
He did not, no.
Okay. So he takes 3 psychic damage.
And so you
Yeah.
you just wiped this guy out. What
Yeah. So being that we sort of switched the order, we'll still keep it in this order. And so as what sort of weapon does Eric have? Sorry?
Argos uses a great sword, but it is a katana.
Okay. So as the katana impacts, slashes across his chest, you see right before you that the man's eyes roll up into his head, and you see him froth at the mouth, and what the man sees is an image of a katana, and it slashes into him again, and then sort of stabs him in the heart, and blood just pours out of his mouth with the froth, and so the man just drops, believing to have seen his demise by a similar weapon.
I'm so
Nice.
badass, the sword hit twice.
Yes.
All right, that pulls us around to Gardain. You have 2 sleeping cultists in front of you.
Oh. Look right up. Anybody got rope?
Why would you want rope? I say as
no.
I'm literally standing over another one. Oh, I'm sorry, we're still in initiative.
So we can tie them up.
If you guys want to drop initiative, we can. I'm fine with that. Initiative is dropped.
Okay. He once again sheathes the katana and walks over to the sleeping cultist, taking a good bit of rope out. I carry 100-foot of rope, so I cut it out into. I use it to cut off into. So I can make each piece of rope to cut them, tie them up. I'll cut off about 1.5 feet to bound their hands and their feet. But the way I tie them, I actually tie their hands behind their back, and I tie their feet connecting to each other's back. So like the one dude's feet are connected to the one guy's hands, and the other guy's feet's connected to the other guy's hands.
And
Well,
they're kind
say
of
hogtied.
coming to, but they're not awake yet.
I'm going to check the other bodies for maybe notes, some kind of directions, maybe some sort of insignia, any kind of information I can find.
Do you go up to the one that was killed first or the one that died second?
The one that was killed first.
As you come up, it's face down. You flip it over, and you can actually see at this point it's almost entirely skeletonized, and there are certain areas that are actually blowing away with the wind of this skeletal form. So there are no clothes, there are no pockets.
What about the ones that are being hogtied? Same thing?
Nope.
No, as in they have nothing to check, or
No,
or
they
they're
would
not.
not. Yeah, no. I mean, they're just asleep. Well, sort of.
Okay.
But, yeah, they're
Well,
still-
then when I see Nilo, he kind of thinks, oh, that's a good idea, and I start rifling through one of them's pockets and all that good stuff, looking to see if they've got any hidden weapons on them or whatnot, because we don't want them to get free.
I look over real quick, and I'm like, "Don't kill them. We can't lose what they know."
Argos looks at him and says, I would not, Akur, dishonor myself, killing helpless foes. But what I do know, from what I have learned from casters, and I don't know if there's casters, so what I do is if they're wearing any like clothes, I want to like tear the leg of their pants off and kind of like strip it and like wrap it in their mouth and actually put some of it, ball it up, put it in their mouth and tie it around it to make sure, they can't get, the only thing we can hear from them is,
Sure. Yeah. At first, it's a little tough, but you're finally able to strip it. And once you kind of get this, you almost have to wake them up to do this. So the sound that Eric made a second ago is actually now being made. And these two are awake. And they're kind of, obviously, their eyes are darting back and forth between you guys, and they keep looking at each other and looking up at you guys, unable to speak.
Did they have anything on them? Because I know Nilo would be interested in information if they have on them, because he seems interested in that.
Under their robes, they have on just very plain, common clothes that actually it's really like a nightshirt type attire. So there's no pockets.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of them starts to go.
Is it muffled, or is that just literally what he says?
Yeah, it's muffled. It's muffled.
Okay. So what Argos does is he kind of squats down in front of them, looking them in the eyes, and just like looking them over, like almost like a steel gaze. And he goes, "Oh, Yuri, who sent you?" I
And
says,
just
"If
kind
you
of looking
don't,"
at you.
I says,
Go ahead.
if you don't tell me, I says, I will do to you what you have done to these houses. And with that, like steam kind of rises from his jaws.
Yeah, his eyes get real big. He doesn't say anything because he understands that
Yeah.
it won't do any good, but he's looking at you.
All right. That will be a 14 on my intimidation check.
Yeah, you can tell he is.
And
He's a little freaked out.
And when he does, Argos kind of reaches over and grabs it with his his pointing finger, and he kind of pulls it down and pulls the stuffing out of his mouth. Ka,
Yeah, and he
yeah.
breathed real heavy for a second.
And Argos just looks at him and goes, "Ka," which means yes, yes.
And he is hesitant to speak, just not. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing, and so he kind of looks at or looks towards the guy to whom he's tied, and he says, "Oh my God, I don't even know. This is all your fault." And he's kind of talking to the guy over his shoulder, and that guy starts shaking his head and talking into that muffled rag.
And like Argos not even, just letting him talk away, like the steam just keeps building and building out of his mouth as he just sits there and just gazes, just locked eyes with him.
And you can see, since he can see you and the other one is on the other side of him, he's kind of like got his feet to the point where he's kind of wiggling to try and get away from you. And he's like, "Look, man, I just said I would join up. This is the other, he's the one. You got to ask him. I don't know." And you see this guy kind of use the other one's momentum against him and kind of spins around a complete 180. And now you have the gagged one in front of you. And he's just looking at you with real big eyes.
And I look at him and I kind of pull his gag down, do the same thing. And he says the exact same words he did to the other one. Ka.
And
Yes.
This one kind of looks up at you, and you can tell that he's worried. Actually, make an insight check, just you.
Okie dokie. Oh, that is a healthy number. What's my insight? Insight. That's a 17.
Cool. This one is not intimidated by you.
And with that, he kind of smiles. And like the steam kind of dies down. And I says, "So, Corey, you are awake, I take it." I look back at the other ones. I says, "This one knows. This one knows."
And he kind of sticks his neck out towards you. And he says, "The sun will rise, the sun will fall. The sun comes for us all." And he turns his head 90 degrees, and the one that's tied to him also turns his head 90 degrees. Once they touch foreheads, from the point that they touch, it starts to decay into this skeletal form, starting at their forehead and kind of working their way down across their bodies.
Ah,
And he kind of grunts like the as though the smoke itself is irritating him, and he stands up. Cool. And I look back at the dwarf as to say, "Let's go."
I will start walking if there's nothing to be gained from them.
I will write down the words that they said. And I wanna keep that note to research later. I'm assuming I can't just like I don't know whether I would have necessarily seen this before, so yeah, I'll just keep it for later, I guess.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to do? For what it's worth, as the skeletal figures fade away, the robes don't. The clothes do, but the robes don't.
Well, I take my strips of rope back.
Yeah.
Did you say the robes or the ropes?
Ropes. R-O-P. Ropes.
Both of them, actually.
Okay, so the black robes with the red trimming stay on them. They're whole. They don't fade away.
So as they kind of become the skeletal and then dust form and blow away, the robes are still where their bodies were.
All right. I would probably keep one for evidence.
Cool. Cool. So you guys are continuing here, or is there something else you want to do?
The fire that they caused, is that still burning?
Kind of like the ones that went asleep, their fires were put out, except for some fringe fire that kind of puts itself out. The two that were awake, once they fell, same thing. Their fire kind of went away, other than a little bit of fire, and that's actually being taken care of now. You can see there are other people who are coming out of the houses and helping to put out what's left of the fire.
All right, that's fine then. I am good to go.
Yep. I'm going. We're still the way we were going. I'll take the lead to lead.
Emilio, you done? Are you ready to move on?
Oh yeah, move on.
All right, okay. Well, I'll make sure everybody got the. We just didn't skip somebody here.
Cool. So you guys kind of keep on. The smell of singe is in the air. Not embers, so to speak, but there's a lot of smoke because a lot of fire has been put out with water. And so now whirling vortexes that are above in the sky are still raging on, but they're actually sucking up the smoke into the center of all of these vortexes or whirlpools. But yeah, you guys make it to the tower, and the tower's not in great shape. It's a 3-story building, like I've said, and the bottom 2 floors are completely blown out, and the 3rd floor is kind of hanging precariously, that like it'll likely fall soon. And actually, you think it should actually be falling right now, but it's not.
I look at the dwarf and I go, "Coo, coo, coo. No, no, no."
So we're supposed to find somebody in that.
No, this is just the landmark.
Oh,
Yeah,
well
we're
then we should probably keep going.
I look at the dwarf.
yeah.
Do we have to go in this, that, and this?
Well, it looks like it's going to fall. Do we know if people live there?
So it's so more of a business type building. Think of like a 150 floor skyscraper in New York. This is essentially that in Green Rock.
Oh. Let's move on, and we can come back.
How precarious is it, like leaning over? Like that top, you say that the top floor is like, it looks like
Yeah,
it's going to fall.
It seems like it should be falling right now. But make me a perception check.
All right. Ugh. I got a 3.
Gotcha. So yeah, there's just something weird about it. For some reason, the 3-story building should be a 2-story building, but you just do not know why.
All right. So Jules looks concerned. He turns to the others and he says, "So yeah, we could come back. But it looks like it should be falling, and I don't know why it's not. And I'd rather that it did fall so that it couldn't fall any further, if you know what I mean."
Yes.
Is it all right if I take a look?
Yep, go for it. Perception check, please.
$13.
So the part of the 3rd floor, you can see that the blast actually took out part of it based on the missing structure. And some of the wood that would have been the support beam for the outer wall of that 3rd floor is floating. It is stuck in space somehow. But it is almost like there's something that's there that's keeping it from falling, but you can't see anything.
Okay. Well,
So you could get closer, maybe take another look to see what it is. You could make an Arcana check to see if maybe there's something along those lines.
yeah, I'll point that out, let them know what I've seen, describe it, and start to look into the noosphere.
I would love
Cool.
to give you the help action as I sort of point out different parts of the thing, and I think about architectural anomalies in the past. So I have a feature called Historian. So I'm just going to quickly roll a history check to see if I get an extra bonus to his roll. So give me 1 second while I roll my history check. I get it.
Also,
So
other 2 guys who are. Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
sorry. So
All I
in
was going to say
addition,
is
yeah, go. You go.
no. I'm passing the buck. It's on you.
In addition to advantage, Jim, you have +2 on both rolls.
It's only 15.
And you're doing an Arcana.
Yes.
Okay. And so the other 2 who are looking at it with fresh eyes, please give me a perception check. The Arcana aspect, you know that there are spells that are capable of this sort of thing. But usually that means that they're not like permanent fixtures. And most of them can't hold up an entire floor. So this is either a very powerful version of something you're familiar with or something you're not familiar with.
Or some damn fine architecting work.
Series of ropes.
Hey, ropes can hold everything together. I can prove that, damn it.
But yeah, what's the perception rolls from Gardane and Argaz?
My passive would have been better because I rolled my passive. It was a 10.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have anything interesting to add.
Nope, I had the interesting fact of it's held up by ropes. That's my assumption.
I rolled a 20. I see everything. I see.
Yeah. You actually do see something. There is something that, with a glint of fire, from one of the buildings that's being put out, there's something shiny wedged underneath that seems to be supporting this weight in the crook of that stone, or excuse me, the wooden outer wall.
But we're going to have to go in to find out what it is, aren't we?
So you don't actually have to go in. And realistically, it's 3 stories and it's this big building, but it's only 3 rooms. And you can kind of see that now that there's this big bite out of the side of the building.
There's something metal holding up that. If y'all want to go in, it's only 3 rooms.
I've said here, and I'm wondering, well, maybe we should go in. But then just something in my head screams, General Akbar, it's a trap!
So with him pointing out where the glinting light is coming from, would we all be able to then see that?
Yeah, sure. I think that makes sense. Jules, what do you do for a living?
So my occupation growing up, I was apprenticed out as an interior decorator, and so I've done lots of homes, matching fabrics and things like that. And I came into adventuring mostly because of the sound in my the voice in my head. But what sort of catapulted me was the fact that I can apparently project myself into people's minds and see and talk to them inside their minds.
Your background in the fashioning of the home itself, well, maybe it has not proved extremely lucrative just yet, since you're one of the few you obviously can afford your fancy clothes, but you recognize this object. It's called a spatial rod. You've always used it to hold heavier objects. You would just set it in place, and wherever it was in space, it would just lock to that position. And it could not be moved until it was released. And essentially that spatial rod is holding up this side of the building.
Wow. So I will rattle that off then. I will sort of say, oh, I see that. I've used one of those. Those things are absolutely fabulous. I've used those to hold up curtains. They were beautiful and velvet, but ever so heavy.
Do we need one? I look over. I can get it. Does that building need to stand?
Well, we should just double check if there's anyone inside. Once we know it's clear, I think that being careful, yeah, you should pull it out. Holding up there, I don't know how long that's going to last.
I start walking. My goal is to get up to that room, grab it, and teleport down.
So Jules would make his way around the building and call out at the top of his lungs, clear the area, and he would try and get the others to do the same.
I'll just start walking around hollering. Now also holler into the building to make sure there's no one in there. But I'll look at the Dragonborn. I said, go with him in case there's somebody in there.
Yuri, Okay. I go with him.
Reach out, grab, put to my head. I've made this proficiency in the stealth skill.
Okay.
And this building doesn't look like it's going to fall until that gets picked up. So I'm going to take my time trying to be sneaky Dan.
Cool. And as you're kind of making your way through and you hit the stairs, Argaz, you're kind of walking up to the outside of the building, closer now, and you can kind of, it's almost like an ant farm. You can see Roland, as he's working his way through the room, hits the stairs and goes up and turns, and he's being real sneaky. But from where you're at, he's the only person you see.
Well, if he's being fairly quiet and good at being quiet, I'll let him literally get a floor ahead of me, or to a point where I can't hear him before I start making my way up.
Okay. Jim, give me a stealth roll.
Oh my gosh. $11.
Okay. So I would say that it's exactly one floor before Argaz would be like, okay, I can't hear him anymore. So the gap between you two is not as big as it could have been, for instance.
Mhm.
So you get up to the second floor. Is your sole purpose to get to are you doing anything on the way other than just trying to stay quiet?
No. I'm a very singularly focused person.
Okay, cool. Then you make it up to the third floor as Argaz makes it to the second floor. And you are standing literally at the top of the staircase. There's about 3 feet of board that's splintered at the tips, and about 10 feet out, hanging in midair, you see it, the spatial rod.
I'll wait for him to get up here. And once he does, he sees me and the hole in the space out into the rest of the city behind me. And I go, I can't take you with me. I need you to go back down now.
Argaz, when he gets up there and he sees you, goes, I can't take you with me. The moment he says, I can't take you with me, Argaz instinctively replies, Yuri, okay, and goes down.
30.
If you want to, there's a hole blasted out. You can jump down.
Would he damage me if I jump down?
It
Oh,
would,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, just
Possibly.
be a badass and jump down. No, I'm taking the stairs.
Dude,
I'm
you
level
pansy.
1. I am not jumping 3 stories.
You pansy. I jumped off the top of a skyscraper.
Yeah, well, you know what? You went level 1 and only got 12 hit points. Sorry. I'll go splat
right,
on the concrete.
So the other two outside of the building, you've kind of seen every time that you call out, hey, get clear, it seems like another 2 or 3 people kind of hit the street and are running. And then everybody make sure you get out of here. Another 2 or 3 hit the building. So it seems like what you're doing is you're doing a good job of clearing the space out, but you're not getting all of them in a single yell or anything like that. There's obviously other priorities around.
Yeah. It's all good.
So are you still kind of face out yelling at the crowd?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've gone inside, so I'm outside just making sure that. So where the overhang is probably where my focus would be, just trying to get anyone that was anywhere near there out from under there.
Cool. Yeah. So as Argaz kind of gets to the bottom floor and Roland, you can see him walking out. You see a shadow of something kind of fly over him. And at the same time, Argaz, you see the shadow as well. It's even darker than what would normally be illuminated by the sun, not only because of these gray vortexes in the sky, but whatever this is just completely blocked whatever light source you did have, and you see it fly over the top of you. Since Gardane has been twitchy about it the whole time, I'm going to give this one to him. You hear the sound of something swooping, and you turn around, and almost at the exact same time, Jules, you see this thing with these spiny wings kind of land at the top of the building, right on top of where that weight is, or that spatial rod. And so it's just kind of sitting there, and it falls down into like a full perch, and it's just looking down at the wall, seemingly where the rod is.
What I know, out of curiosity, if that's where Nilo is.
That is where he is. It's literally the roof, and Roland cannot see it. He is inside the room. This thing is on top of it.
Our guys looking up and seeing we can see the creature landing on it, right?
Yes.
Our guys looking around, like at the moment, almost seem to lost the ability to speak the common tongue. Looks around, looking at the other ones, like, are you, is there anything you can do for it? And looking over at the other gentleman's like, anything you can do for it? Like, and he's just, like, because if this creature's land on it, it's not coincident that it's here with the little fire thing he's attacking. So.
Seeing that it's come back, I was like, well, I think we're going to have to deal with it now, and I will cast Sacred Flame at it to get it out of there and bring it down to us.
All right. What's your DC?
13, I want to say.
Yeah.
Clyde, are you using Guiding Bolt or Sacred Flame?
That's what I said, Sacred Flame.
Oh, okay. Well, just
it's 13.
Cool. So it's almost at this moment where this creature lands, and you send out this Sacred Flame at it, and it doesn't even bother to look. And it its wings spread out in sort of an unnatural fashion, and this flame just kind of dissipates into the air behind it. Roland, it is the moment where out of the corner of your eye, just before you're about to jump, you see that shadow. And so I want you to tell me what you do about your situation.
Make a wisdom save.
Who?
That whatever that thing is.
You can't see it.
Do I need line of sight? Yes, I have to be able to see it. I'm singularly focused. This is bad. I'm going to jump to it, and I'm going to hang on to that rod. If it's 10 feet away, I got 10 feet of jump.
Yep. That's how far I would say it's within your jump. As you sit there and grab it, you've kind of got one hand inside the building and the other hand on the outside of the building. And you hear this terrible screech, and you feel around for a second, and there it is on the tip. There's the button. And you know, as soon as you press this button, business starts.
Quick look around. Is there a building within 50 feet of me?
Yes.
Okay. That's the one that I'm going to attempt to land on. Reach around, I grab, and I teleport. There goes 2 side points. I teleport 40 feet toward it, and almost as if I fall down into this nothingness. That nothingness spits me out and shoots me another 10 feet after teleporting 50 feet onto that roof.
Now you're thinking with portals.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, you press the button first or no?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, as soon as you swing and you're on the uptake, you press that button, and everybody else, while he's kind of in this other space, everybody else sees this thing kind of launch itself upward, flap twice, and now it's high in the sky, and you see it just beeline down the road the direction of the iron bar. And you arrive safely at your destination, Roland.
Yes.
But now, so the building. Essentially, as soon as you pull that out, and as soon as this creature gives a little bit of extra oomph, this thing just topples forward, taking up essentially the entire building and laying it down horizontally now. Just because the weight of all of this, plus whatever that thing did, just brought the entire building down on its side. And now it's kind of stretched out into the street, not blocking your path or anything, but it is totally collapsed. Nobody was inside.
Good.
But now you have a spatial rod.
What?
Interesting. I reach under, shove it into my rags, and reach out, redo athletics, and try to find a way down.
Fastest way is on the outside of the building. There would be climbing involved.
Perfect. Climbing I will. Oh. 9. I hate me.
So yeah, you kind of start to scale the side of this building. The way it's formed, it's got this wood paneling that you can almost kind of reach the windowsill and then drop down and then grab the base of it and kind of keep your balance a little bit better. You get down to the last window to try and put your feet on the top of that sill of the first floor, and you kind of slip. Take 1 falling bludgeoning damage.
Sweet.
So now it's the 4 of you again. Once more, this crazy, unexplainable lust for gargoyle slaying is probably taking over Gardane. But what do you guys want to do?
Go after it. Let's go in the direction we need to go.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. As you guys are getting closer, coming down this road, the people who are familiar, you know you're very close to the Iron Pub. And you can actually see that there is a building that is still on fire somehow. Most of the other fires in the town have been put out, but this one still seems to be on fire. And as you start to kind of approach there, from what you can see, is there's one of those little red exploding creatures and one of these black-robed individuals. You guys are, they have their backs to you. You guys are about 60 feet.
Reach under, hit my light crossbow out, and I'm looking at the rest of you. Somebody want to get in front of me?
Ardane will step in front of him and hold his hammer out, and it'll start to heat up, and then the bolt will shoot a little light will reflect off of it, and like a mirror will land on the back of the guard, and then the fire will come down to that.
Me personally, I'm going to move 60 feet. Move, bonus act, move, double, and use my second one. Pretty much to dash. Move, dash.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're within my spell range, so I'm gonna hit him with Sacred Flame.
Yeah, still got sword is unsheathed officially.
Cool. Everybody, let's roll initiative. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, you guys did good.
A little bit of disparity between the low and high rolls there, but yes.
Yeah. Let's see.
The fact that I rolled something higher than a freaking 10 on a roll for anything other than an attack, it amazes me.
Let's see. Rolling. Got a 20. We got. Sorry, I need to get some cue cards here. That'd probably help.
I use a piece of paper normally because usually the piece of paper. Well, no, I see your point because I know Jim uses cards. I think he still does. No idea. Yeah.
I think he does.
You said something. Can't hear you.
Who, me?
No, Jim. It looked like he said something.
I just laughed. I just laughed. Look, you're right. I still use cards.
Yeah.
All right. So, Roland, you're up first.
Got it. Oh, the one that can blow up. I'm shooting him.
Okay.
The 19.
That hits.
That's 6 points of piercing damage.
All right.
And I reload and I go to an alley to seek cover and put my back behind it.
All right. So then the little red guy that you shot kind of turns around and you see the top of his head kind of streak back on fire. And he's actually going to run up, or actually, since there's one right next to him, he's going to look at Argaz and he's going to make a slash.
Screw you, guy.
Let's see, I have your AC, but does a 14 hit?
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. 16.
All right, I didn't think so. Cool. So he tries to take a swipe at you and is unable to hit you. Next to Roland, you see kind of in the cover of this, it's a little darker in this alleyway. All of a sudden, it illuminates, and you turn and you see one of these little fire guys standing right next to you, clattering his teeth, and he goes to make a swipe at you. He misses you. Man, I don't think I've hit you guys yet. So yeah, he takes a swipe at you and he misses, and he is actually going to try and run away from you into the middle of the street. So since you have a ranged weapon, you can't make an attack of opportunity. Is that right?
Unless you'll let me make it without proficiency. Just trying to punch him.
Yeah, I say you can make a strength attack roll here,
Okay.
whether that's with the butt of your weapon or the top of your boot.
The mighty deuce.
All right. Well, you guys played chicken, acted like you wanted to fight. He ran away. Excellent. So then that brings us around to Argos.
That will be an 18, and if an 18 hits, that's 13 points of damage to the cultist.
Are you aim
the
at
cult?
the cultist?
Yes,
And you
I'm
said
aiming
it's
for
13 points of damage?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So you make a nice slash on this guy. And is there anything else you want to do?
Nothing else. I can bonus action. Look intimidating as hell.
All right. You definitely do that. He turns and he looks at you and he claps his hands together and then looks like he's trying to pull them apart, but it's almost like something's kind of got them stuck together. And then finally he throws his hands out wide. And as he does this, you hear the sound of paper shredding, and off to your left, this gap in time splits. And out of this empty space steps another one of these cultists. And as soon as he steps out, that rip closes.
Dude, I was on the verge of saying, if you do the whole "in a foolish samurai warrior," we're gonna come back to
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, cancel that. I was about to say, he threw me in time. That's dick.
All right. So that brings us around to Jules.
All right, so Jules hasn't moved from where he was, so I would like to move 30 feet towards the sea, which puts me 30 feet away. And so, by the looks of it, we've got I'm imagining it's some sort of building or doorway where our samurai warrior has run up to.
It's just outside of the Iron Pub. The Iron Pub is in the background of this fight.
Right. Yep. Cool. And so him and the red creature or cultist or whatever it is there. The other cultist that's just appeared, where is that in comparison to?
So the first cultist was right in front of Argos. This other cultist is at 9 o'clock for him. So it's directly to his left.
Yeah. All right. And like in melee to Argos or not?
Yep.
All right. So I would like to please cast Minor Illusion just behind the cultist that appeared. And I want that to be it's a really cool sound. I want it to be like the sound of, so I can make it into an image or a sound. But I'm going to make it into a sound of the mountain lion from the story that I told earlier today in the pub. Yeah. So a mountain lion roars behind this guy. And I've moved. And that will be my action for the time being.
All right. So that brings us at the bottom of the order. You can see this cultist that was just summoned is still, part of him seems to be a little warped. And it's almost like the light around him bends his reality. And he sits there and he reaches his hand out, his left hand out, and the other cultist reaches his right hand out. And together they say, the sun will rise, the sun will fall, the sun comes for us all. And just like before, they kind of deteriorate into a couple of piles of ash. And so back at the top, we've got Mr. Roland.
Okay. So more of them have appeared, and we've not taken any of them down, right?
There are two of the little red creatures running around now. One that tried to attack you. Actually,
Three.
I never played Clyde. I never did Clyde's turn. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did I do your turn, Clyde?
He's supposed to go tomorrow.
Yeah, I was supposed to go tomorrow. I rolled a 1. So I was supposed to go. So all we have is those little red men.
Yes, there's one that's up by Sargaz right now, and then there's one that actually just ran out onto the street past Roland.
Okay. Are they still? I will move 25 feet.
You can get to the one that just ran out to the street.
Okay, then that's what I'll do, and I will chop at it with my battle axe.
Okay.
Let me roll. I got a 15 on the die.
Yeah, that'll hit him.
Okay. 1d8. 6 points of slashing damage.
Yeah, you can see it kind of reel a little bit. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Nobody looks like they've been hurt. And
I believe comment about being hurt earlier, but that's the only thing that was discussed.
Jewel said something a bit ago.
Oh, how bad?
On a scale of 1 to 11.
On a scale of 1 to 11.
On the
I'm about
smiley
half.
face.
I'm
Okay,
about
on the,
half. So I'm looking beaten up, but not at the point of death.
okay. I was gonna say on the smiley face chart, point to where it hurts. Point to how bad it is. Okay, so all right, remind me of that because I only spell I think I have, is Cure Wounds, and I have to be able to touch you.
It's all right. It's all right. For the moment.
Okay, so I'll be back around. I'll be to you when I can.
Cool. So now we are really back at Roland.
Gotcha. Since they're actually not going to keep going after me, I'm going to keep doing the best I can. Do I have if I've got a clear shot on the first one I shot at, then I'd like to shoot at that one again. If not, I'm willing to move so that I can.
You poke your head out and you see that there's, from your current position, there's a little bit of debris that's in the way, but you can move out into the road and take the shot.
Okay, then I will move out a bit, take that shot, and use the rest of my movement to go back.
Okay.
I can't roll initiative or skills for shit, but I can hit. 19.
That hits.
3 points of piercing.
And you see this one explode. I think Sargas is the only one that's next to him currently. So you would take 2 fire damage.
Which would be reduced to 1.
You're very excited about that.
Yes, I am. It is so awesome.
So the other one that's out in the street currently dealing with the dwarf, he looks up at you and do you have a big familiar to dwarven beard? Do you have a big gruff beard?
He better stay away from my beard.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna make a dwarf go on a battle rage. Is what you're gonna do.
Not this man, not this land red man. I disengage. I'm out. He's going after the beard.
I just got to know if there's a beard because it's his turn.
Yes, I have a full, luxurious, fiery looking beard. It's braided.
It's gonna be fiery here in a minute.
Shut up.
Yeah. So he kind of looks up at you and he does the thing where he kind of blows a bunch of air into his cheeks and he's looking a little crazy. And he jumps up on you. Make a athletics or acrobatics. Ooh.
You said, did you say, I heard or acrobatics.
Yeah, you could do athletics or acrobatics, whatever you prefer.
I choose to run away.
Why do I have a feeling Clyde's about to have this guy on his back? Next thing we know, we're going to see a dwarf going, nope, I'm out.
Hold on. Okay, I got better athletics than I do acrobatics. Let me see. I got a 17.
So this thing jumps up on you and kind of latches its fingers, gripping the cloak, and it puts its head down, and it just breathes out real hard, exploding this gout of fire out of the top of its head. And so now you have this thing on you. Your beard has caught fire, but is not yet gone. But he does have a hold of you. Which brings us around to Sargas.
Okay. I'm attacking the cultist. Does a 16 hit him?
Both of the cultists have withered away once they touched each other. They're gone.
Okay. Well, shit. Okay. Am I within moving distance of my poor dwarf friend?
I would say you're within 30 feet.
All right. I'm going to see one latch out to it. He chuckles and he finds this very funny. Wanting to see the dwarf run around going, ah! But does a 16 hit it?
Yes.
All right. He'll take 13 points of damage.
All right. And while he's got a hold, he explodes.
Oh, hell.
And you guys both take 3 fire damage.
Would mine be?
Go ahead.
Would it still be 1 or would it be 2?
I'm fine with rounding down on having damage. There it is. It's canon. But yeah, so you would take 3 base fire damage. So we'll okay for a second. So we'll move to the next one here. That brings us to Jules.
All right. So what can I still see up?
Make a perception check for me. Because the things you were fighting are now gone.
Cool. I got a 14.
A what? 14?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. So, corner of your eye, more smoke from the top of this building is being funneled into the sky, and you see flying through the air that odd winged barbed creature, and it kind of starts to take a diving turn towards you guys. And as soon as it looks like it's coming in to make a move on you, Craig comes flying out of nowhere, and his saw blades just cut this thing in half. And as it begins to fall to the sky, it still seems like it's alive, even though it's cut in half. But before it can ever land, it's actually turned into smoke and sucked into the vortex as well. And Craig flies on, just off doing other stuff. But now you guys are outside of the Iron Pub. It is on fire.
Argos looks at it and knows that he's very resistant. He's like, "Liar, here, wait." And he kicks the door open and starts to head into the tavern and look around.
Okay, what's everybody else doing too?
Shoot.
Hiding back tears because it took me my beard.
You use an action to snuff the flame.
Yes.
Cool. I will say that let's go with like 92% of your beard is safe.
Oh, good. I can grow this back. Yes.
But you smell like bird hair.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He'll live with it. He'll live with it. Don't worry. Don't worry. He is good.
Jules, Roland?
Was I able to get water from the inn, and would it still be with me? And if not, is there water nearby?
Yeah, there's a well pump right outside of the Iron Pub.
I will go straight to that and
Cool.
Start mining that.
And
All right.
I will. What is that? Let's see. Yes, okay, I will use this time to heal Jules.
That is very kind of you.
Let's see. Aha, I maxed that one out. You get 11 hit points back.
Well, I've got a maximum of 9, so yes, yes, I
Excellent
am
healing.
fully restored.
I know this is the first time on casting any kind of spell that it actually maxed out.
And I look at you and I say, "Oh my, that feels fabulous. You have a healing hand."
And from that day on, you never received any more healing. Okay, so I believe Jim's not said what he's going to do yet.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is. We've made it here. Is there this building doesn't look like it's about to fall over, does it?
No, it's just it's on fire with attempts being made to help put it out.
Well, unfortunately, control flames is not my cantrip. It is, however, mending. Can I start working against part of this building to put it back to fix it while parts are on fire?
Yeah, as long as the area is not on fire and currently being destroyed in any way, yeah, you can kind of follow along and repatch up any of these parts.
Okay, I mean, it takes a minute for the casting, but I'm going to focus right now on not the foundation, but like between floor 1 and 2.
Okay, so you're going in as well?
Yes.
Okay. So we know we've got somebody putting a fire out. We've got 2 going in. Clyde, did you say you're going in?
After let's see, after I heal him, yeah, I'll go in with him. After I
Okay.
heal Jules, yeah, I'll go.
Cool. So, Jules, I want you to make a athletic check. Make 3 of them, and we'll see how fast you can put the fire out.
Oh boy, maybe it should have been someone else.
I'm not very athletic, but I'm very acrobatic.
While all of this is going on inside,
It's a boat. There's liquids.
notable ones. And what you guys can actually see in here is it's set up quite a bit different. It's a little bit more traditional. To the far left, there's a cornered stage. That the stage itself, you can see there was a fire, but someone had been putting it out. Yeah. All right. So yeah, through the course of all of this, eventually the fire will die down. But right now, you guys probably need to find a way inside of the building to help try and put some of this fire out. What are you guys doing specifically in here?
Are we inside the building, or are we going to force our way inside?
You're inside. The door's open.
Oh, okay. As soon as I know Argaz, when he gets in, he starts, just screaming, kind of just like yelling out. Not any particular word, just like kind of like, hey! Kind of just to sit here. If anybody will respond to him, he'll go checking the rooms downstairs.
Gotcha.
Well,
Yeah. So sure. So as you're kind of looking around, you're not seeing a whole lot right away. It's just kind of the bar, the back stock where all the liquor is being posted. A few tables for the most part. It's clear, like the center of the room is clear, tables and stuff pushed off to the side. But yeah, Roland, you're attempting to repair the ceiling of the first floor.
Yes.
Okay. Then Gardane, are you sticking to the first floor?
Well, if hadn't nobody hollered when he started talking on the first floor, and he's looking down there, I'll go upstairs. If there is a upstairs.
Yeah, there's a stairway for sure. Once you kind of get upstairs and you poke your head up there, you see there's a lot of smoke in this room. Make a perception check.
Do you want me to do it at disadvantage because of all the smoke, or is it still, or?
I think no.
Okay.
I think just regular is fine.
Okay. I got an 11.
Okay. So with the 11, you feel like you might be able to make out a shoe or something up here, but that's about all you can really figure. So anything you want to do with that information?
Yeah, I'm going to go to where the shoe is and maybe do a quick over this floor.
Sure. Yeah. Once you kind of get closer to it, you can see that it's connected to a body. There's a young lady kind of laid out face down up here.
Well, I pick her up and I start taking her downstairs, and I'll holler at Argaz to go to the second floor if he hasn't found anybody here. There may be more up that way, and I'll start taking her outside.
Okay. Make a Constitution save for me.
I got a 16 on the die.
Cool.
I'm still scrolling for my character sheet, so.
No, you're fine. Well, yeah, let's say you're fine. I like that. 16 is pretty good.
Because it would have been a grand total of 18. So
Okay, yeah, that's definitely good enough. You kind of cough. You're having trouble a little bit up here because it is very smoky, but the smoke seems to be starting just about chin height for you. So you're almost completely under this line of smoke, but it's definitely thick in the area where you're breathing. So you get her downstairs. Sargaz, are you going up there?
If I don't see nobody down here, and if nobody's answering him when he calls out, yeah, he hears the dwarf telling him, check upstairs more. Yeah, he would just turn around. He'll just say, "Hoodie, okay," and he goes on upstairs.
Cool. So when you get up there, make a perception check for me.
That'd be a whopping 16.
Okay. So you can see that this is a one-room, second story. And you can see that there is a door on the other side of the room.
All right. Walking over to the door, he places his palm on the door to feel the heat see if there's any heat coming from the door.
Yeah, you have an M that gets burnt into the palm of your hand. No, not really. A little Home Alone joke for you.
I know, right? If he doesn't feel any heat,
No, he wouldn't, other than natural heat.
Yeah. He'll open the door if he can.
Great. Yeah, you open the door and this smoke just starts billowing out from behind you, and you would notice that it is going straight up into the sky, into another one of these vortexes above you. But out in front of you, you see there is this odd mechanical servant kind of laying down in sort of a kneeled position, but oddly it seems supported in a even though it's in an odd pose, it's still like its back is straight up and everything like that.
So a mechanical, so kind of like a robot in a way?
Yeah, it kind of, you've seen these before, especially around town. A lot there, I said mechanical servant because that's a majority of kind of what they're used for.
Oh, yeah. I get the point, yeah.
Sure.
Is there anybody else? Is there anything else in the room other than that?
You've actually stepped out onto the roof.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's nobody else up on top of the roof.
Does the servant look like it's activated?
It does not.
Well, our guys picks it up.
Okay.
Can you pick it up is a better question.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Then I'll pick the Bihastard up, and if he doesn't look like he's turned on yet, Argos just picks him up and takes him back downstairs, because if he doesn't see anyone else, he picks him up and goes downstairs.
Cool. Yeah, as you're kind of walking through the bottom floor at this point, between Jules and Roland trying to stabilize the building and put the fire out. From the outside, Jules, you're done. The fire part is out. Roland is inside, making sure the structural side is good to go. And so now you guys kind of step out of the building itself, holding on to this young woman and this mechanical man, and swooping down in front of you comes Craig. And he was like, all right, you got him. Let's go. And I think that's where we're going to end.
Oh, I liked it.
So
don't forget the ale.
Don't forget the raw.
Oh yeah. That let's say that the last thing that kind of happens isn't in this scene. It's in a dark room. You can see this kind of gruff beard and hair hanging down over his face. And the only light in the room is coming off of this crystal ball that's in the middle, and light seems to be shining up on his face. And inside the crystal ball is the image of you guys standing outside of the Iron Pub. And he runs his hand over it, and it goes black. And that is where we'll actually end.
Oh God. We're seeing shadow.
But yeah, so that was the game. I hope everybody had fun. I did. So we'll see how this went and see if there's an episode 2.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I hope there is an episode 2. I thought it was fun.
All right. Thanks for everyone for playing with us, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.
Thank you.
Next bat time, next bat channel.